for the running of the Shark Attack 400 this afternoon. 58 drivers attempted to qualify, but as there's only 40 slots available, 18 of those drivers had to pack it up and go home, which may be a new record for this league. And it is going to be one fun day of action at possibly the last race at this, I would say at this point, iconic 2-mile venue before it gets renovated into a short track. I'm Andre Grand-Bush, joined alongside Corey Silva and, of course, Carlos Acosta, pushing all the buttons, bringing all the action to your TVs and computers. Corey, it's great to have you back in the booth. It's great to be here at Auto Club. This is a fun track, and you just saw right there in the background some drivers starting to slip and slide. Track temp is pretty high right now. I think we're in for a fun afternoon.
Yeah, we are now. For those of you who stay tuned to my channel on PTR TV, we covered the Division 2 series where we saw a lot of these guys, a lot of these same drivers take to the same track, getting experience for tonight's race. But I think, Andre, as you said, this is a really fun track, multi-lanes, all that good stuff. I think that's why we had a record field try to sign up for this place. They wanted to have fun in this event, and certainly with these lap times, we're going to have a really tight field and some really great racing.
Absolutely, and you can get a look at the playoff picture right there, as well as the Rookie of the Year standings. Jim Schofield currently leading that by 11 points over Mark Padgett, but just a lot of rookies in general. Mark Padgett, Robbie Kennelly, all of these guys running for the Rookie of the Year tense competition there. And then, of course, the team standings after one race. Apex currently leading the way. They had a great showing back at Daytona, as well as Team Conti. Those two teams sort of affiliated, so not surprised to see them 1 and 2. Dirty South bringing up the podium there in third. And finally, the manufacturer standings, which, Corey, to me, these manufacturer standings more or less just tell me how many of each one is in the field, because it seems like whichever has the most is going to get the most points.
Yeah, I mean, back in the the 90s, back in the real era of NASCAR and stuff, we paid a lot more attention to manufacturing. I honestly completely forgot that it was even still a statistic, but still fun to track either way. But again, a great field here at Auto Club. And Andre, I don't know if you followed the real world, but a lot different conditions here at the virtual Auto Club, because it was actually snowing here in Southern California in the real world here today. But luckily we have some nice sunny skies, and we're getting ready to head down trackside for today's starting lineup.
Yeah, they're going to hit the grid, and as they do that, Corey, I think you might have forgot to lock the door to the booth, because we're joined now by an old friend of 3Wide TV and the league, Will Tiller, back in the booth. How you doing, bud?
Yes, sir. I'm doing fantastic. The helicopter just landed. I just came from Knoxville, Iowa. Beautiful dirt track race here, but I am excited to be here at Auto Club here in the great state of California for some excellent racing here tonight.
Yes, sir. If D2 last night was anything to go off of, we are in for quite a bit of action. And qualifying, as we kind of already mentioned, has been completed, and it was 58 drivers who attempted to start, but this is the 40 drivers who made it to the big show. Matt Long on the pole in the 97, right alongside Anderson in that tied ride number 5. Blake Giglio, the dirt track driver, bringing up the podium for qualifying third place, first on the inside of row 2. Then you got Patrick Gitter. That's a new face to the league. I actually had to kind of squint and adjust my glasses there in row 2. Then row 3, you got Jason Baker and Neil Pearson. Then you have Chad in the number 98 alongside Derek Heitman in the 76. Rounding out our top 10 is going to be Devin Medeiros and John Broussard.
And we're already rolling, so we're going to have to really kick through this. We got Carl Dodson in 11th. Robert Miller had a good run yesterday in the 12th spot. 13th, you'll find last season's champion John Delaney with Alex Perry to his outside, Andrew Dyson, Lucas Hoytsma, Matt DeCiani, Damian Asarenza, and rounding out our top 20, we have Matt White and Chris James.
And looking just outside the top 20, we've got Jim Schofield, Dalton Mobley, Dustin Hall, Alex Van de Sant in 24th, and then 25 and 26 is going to go to short track Joe Stafford and Adam Benefiel, former league champion there in the 83. Rob Tracy is going to be 27th, right next to Kyle Ammon in that 25 machine. 29 and 30 goes to Tanner Marty and Kevin Steele. Just to round out the rest of the field real quick before we hit green, Sean O'Brien Jr., Raymond Root, Alex Princeton, Randy Drumhiller, and you've got Pierce in the 35th position. 36th goes to Nolan Hodgson. You got Damaris Hickenbottom, Cameron Stone, 37-38. And finally, in the final row, we're not going to forget him, you got Jason Strategy Taylor in that 41 right alongside Patrick Muchet in the free Bryson Nixonbach number 17. That is going to be our starting order for tonight's Shark Attack 400. And the pace car preparing to make that hard left turn down pit road and unleash these drivers who I'm sure are anxious to get this season a little bit further underway, now away from the plate racing, away from the lottery of Daytona. We're here at Auto Club, and it's going to be 2x2 all the way back.
Yep, heading down into corner number 1. We're going to wait to see the fan out, which is what we see every time at Auto Club, top to bottom. These guys are going to find all their different real estates there. To the bottom of the track, Matt Long, the tide ride of Robert Anderson to the outside. He's going to get that run, that good outside run. Gets second. Giglio's going to have to drop to third. We'll see what happens. The bottom is typically where you want to be, Andre, in 3 and 4 on the newer tires. And as you can see, most everyone heading right down there, but some good racing fanning out through the back end of the pack.
And it is going to be Matt Long leading the first lap of the race, but not without pressure. That tide ride right behind is getting a big run with the draft, and he's going to look down low. Now, tire conservation is going to be one of the most important things tonight, guys. I was working with my team a little bit in testing all throughout the week, and I was kind of keeping my ear to the ground, listening to what these guys had to say. And from what I understand, if you overdrive the car early in a run, there is no recovering from that. There's no bringing it back. So you want to take it easy in these opening laps, but then comes the gamble, guys. How easy do you take it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Now here, 2 laps into this race, the 97 along will take us across the line. Down into corner number 1, still leading the way. Field is very fanned out right now, single file all the way down to about the 10th position on the racetrack, down to 1 and 2.
Yep, single file is how it is. And what we noticed yesterday in the Division 2 race is that it takes about 15 laps for these guys to really lose the grip on the tires to where the outside becomes dominant. And that's where you'll see these guys go top to bottom, and the top actually becoming more dominant. Difference being yesterday's Division 2 race was kind of more late afternoon, where we are dead center of the afternoon today, so track temps are a little bit hotter as it's 12:30 sim time here. But just kind of going through the field, you can see the single file snake about 10 cars long. First side-by-side battle, John Delaney and John Broussard, 11th place.
Now, just to give you guys an idea of how important tire saving is, most of the setups these guys are running are easily capable of, I would say, 39 nines to 39 eights if you're really driving hard for the first few laps. Despite that, most of these drivers are pretty consistently running 40.2s, 40.3s, so they're going nearly half a second slower than they otherwise could just to get that long run speed. It is very important to save those tires, and it's a little bit easier when you're the leader. You know, when you're the leader, you can set the pace. That number 5 car has taken the point. Now he gets to run his line, and everybody has to follow him. But if you're in this pack, in the back, you don't want to fall too far back, but you also don't want to check up too much and let these guys pounce. You kind of just have to decide your line and how you're going to race based on what everybody else is doing. You're kind of at the mercy of the competition, and I'm seeing a little bit more single file than I really would have expected. They got it sorted out pretty quickly, but you go further back in the pack, and some of these drivers are still trapped on the high side, and early in the run, that is going to be a huge detriment to the rubber.
Yeah, you don't want to be stuck out there on Revis Island right now here, 6 laps into this race. Make it 7 now, down into corner number 1. You see Anderson still leading in that 5. Machine around 1 and 2 right now. I think the drivers right now, guys, are just getting comfortable in their positions on the racetrack. You just talked about the drivers that are on the top side here as we come off of 2 down this backstretch. I think right now drivers are just trying to test out both lines, see what works the best. As now Anderson, that 5, will take us down to 3.
Yeah, we did see in practice that Blake Giglio in the 16, bright blue Mustang here he's driving this evening. He was riding the fence. I mean, I don't want to call it a Kyle Larson line because I haven't really seen him run it, but we'll call it maybe a Tyler Reddick line, running up there about an inch off the fence. He had that skill in his back pocket. We know the physics of the sim allow it to happen. So I expect him to start doing that, but again, it may take 10, 15 laps. You see 3 wide there, 6th position. That's Devin Medeiros on the top of a 3 wide, Neil Pearson, the Aussie, and then Carl Dodson was down to the inside. That's the 20 Medeiros giving a shot to the back bumper of Blake Giglio. We saw a lot of bump traffic happening. We see it happening again. Great racing, and I think the tires are starting to slip and slide, guys.
Carl Dodson making a pretty good showing. He was just recently approved to the 100% Cup Series from Division 2. I believe this is his first 100% Cup Series start, and he's already inside the top 10, not doing too bad for himself. Of course, a lot of racing left to go. Stage 1's going to be at lap 65. Once 10 cars have crossed the line to complete that lap, the admins will throw a caution with some discretion. Of course, the admins are racing as well, so it's never going to be 100% precise. But that number 2 machine of Carl Dodson, not doing too bad, but it's going to take a good run, guys, because there's so many rookies in the field this year. One of the biggest explosions, I would say, in participation for this league in the numerous years that it's been around. There's been a couple seasons where I feel like Rookie of the Year was just kind of a given. You knew who was going to get it right away, but not so much this year. This kind of takes me back to the early 2000s of real-life NASCAR.
Yeah, back in the era when Rookie of the Year actually kind of meant something. I think around maybe 2010, and then the fence there paused that thought was Jason Baker in the 51 machine. So that's going to maybe cause a little right front damage to him, kind of stacked up the field a little bit going down the back. But yeah, to the point of Rookie of the Year, I mean, let's just remember that Kevin Conway won Rookie of the Year in 2010. So if it kind of tells you that the Rookie of the Year stopped meaning something a little while ago. But in this series, it's not so much that you're a rookie in iRacing or you're a rookie to sim racing. It's just that you're a rookie to the series. So you could be a 7,000 I rating guy and win all the top tier races and be considered a 100% rookie, but that'll put you in that fight. But all the guys around you are going to have to really deal with the skills that you have. And Patrick Gitter, I know you talked about him, Andre. I saw him last night. He put on a really good bit of driving in Division 2, and him as a quote-unquote rookie running up in the top 5 faster than some of our regulars.
Yeah, definitely not having a bad run for himself. And right now, I think everybody's more or less content where they're at up front. You look at the number 5, you look at the 97. I'm sure Matt Long in second place, he could make a lunge at it. He could try to get a run with the draft. But right now, he's just not trying to do that. He's just trying to keep those tires underneath of him, keep that machine in good condition, because that's going to be the most important thing. And a little bit further back where we saw a lot of that double file racing and a lot of the battling, that's starting to settle down as well. We're starting to see a lot more single file. So these guys are settling in, and I think the real competition is going to set in once we get closer to the end of the stage, because there is obviously points on the line for this stage finish as well as stage 2. And I think this year, stage points are going to matter even more than they have in years previous, just because there's so many drivers attempting to qualify for each race. Even if you made the cut for Auto Club, you're here, you made the show, you're not one of the 18 drivers that had to pack it up and go home. That's not a guarantee next week. Maybe next week you don't make the cut, you don't qualify well enough. It's a very real possibility you've got to go home. So if you can just stack up some points while you're here and kind of give yourself some wiggle room should that sort of thing happen, it's going to be hugely important. And I think that just means these guys are going to race even harder come lap 65.
Yeah, I remember seeing a statistic on Twitter not too long ago where 1997 Jeff Burton had one of the best starts of his season and actually missed one of the first 4 races of the season until the points of that season kicked in. So a very real possibility missing out, especially with Daytona. That could put you in the in the trash can with points for a little bit. Have to gain it back here as we do our West Coast swing, of course, here at Fontana, then to Las Vegas and to Phoenix to wrap up our West Coast trip as mid-March does go by. But you can really see, guys, on the long shots that Carlos is providing here on the different camera angles, lines are starting to spread out, and I called it right around lap 15 based on what I saw yesterday. That's when the tires slip. That's when you want to get off that yellow line or white line, whatever it is. And meanwhile, we do have a battle for the lead right now.
Yeah, right now the battlefield lead ensues right now. Matt Long in that 97 machine trying to hold off Robert Anderson in that 5. They're battling around the corner now. Jason Baker starting to come into the picture there in that 51 machine, up 3 spots from the drop of the green flag. We're battling for the lead down the backstretch.
Remember, Baker was just in the wall about 2 laps ago, but these next-gen cars with those carbon fiber bodies, and we call them on iRacing, they're tanks, and luckily for Baker, that hit to the wall doesn't seem to have any impact on that on the speed in that Marines Camaro.
So I'm glad you mentioned him getting into the wall and the damage situation with the next-gen cars. The damage has been a point of confusion, not just for the drivers, but also for us up in the booth. For the Clash, we were under the impression that the race session had been kind of messed up on the iRacing side of things, and damage had been disabled because we saw a lot of cars take some pretty hard hits that never really seemed to crumple or deform in any noticeable way. And then at Daytona, we saw a few cars take some hits, and the car didn't deform, and we knew damage was on for that session, absolutely, 100%. What we're finding is that the next-gen car right now is kind of at a point where the damage model is not working quite as intended. These cars can take massive hits and roll away just fine. So when we were at Daytona last week, we talked about, man, it seems like a lot more drivers are getting booted out of the session for reaching that incident limit. And I was talking to one of the admins, Kevin Steele, over the week. He said, no, it wasn't the fact that it was a lower incident count, because we thought 13X was lower than last year. He said, no, 13X is what it's always been at plate races. But because the cars are not actually getting damage, these drivers are taking more hits and reaching that limit more often. So we had 6 more cars get DQ'd last week at Daytona than we did the previous year. And so I don't know if these drivers are fully aware of the damage situation, but if you're somebody like Jason Baker or anybody in this pack, knowing that you can take a hit, well, that might just be an ace up the sleeve.
Yeah, and just not to bore anybody with the technicals, but the long and the short of it is iRacing had to make a new damage model tweak to the fundamentals of it, and it kind of broke, so they had to artificially make all the cars stronger than they're supposed to be, and they've since fixed many of the cars and made them react more realistically, but they did not get to the next gen car yet, so it still is kind of in quote-unquote tank mode. So it should be fixed as we're closing in on the season, spring, whatever build in a few weeks' time. Should be fixed, but for the time being, these guys will enjoy hashtag tank mode. Let that fly around, but we have some good racing here as Anderson's starting to fall back. Maybe he used those tires up, took off the Dr. Feelgoods a little bit too early. 21 a getter to his outside. You can see the wad of cars behind him haven't spread out at all, guys. We are still pretty much in pack formation, a car length in between each car, going up and down, changing lanes. Really haven't got much separation as the yellow flag flies. Tanner Marty and Tracy around as well on the back straightaway.
Yeah, first caution of the night here on 3 Wide TV. We'll check out this replay, what brought out our first caution of the night here, guys. And at a very calm pace, we now have some action. Oh, man, some big action there on the exit of the corner.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get maybe a chopper shot of that just to kind of get us a better view. But it looks like guys just coming together on corner exit, not having the real estate. We had a chopper cab up. Yep, someone doored somebody else, and then into the 33. Just kind of struggling for the same piece of real estate on corner exit.
So I believe that was Cameron Stone into the 25 of Kyle Ammon. And then both of those drivers got locked together. They got sent up the track into the 33. Now Cameron Stone seems to have escaped the situation with minimal to no damage, whereas the 29 and the... No, that was not the 25. That's the number 29. So the 29 and the other car that got cut up to 33, they got a little bit of damage, but as we just talked about, guys, it shouldn't be too detrimental.
Do have Cody Bird in the chat, who is not in tonight's race, did make a point of note for us to go over that even if the visuals do not show the damage, you still can get suspension damage, and aero damage does happen to a lesser degree. But everybody coming down pit road, they do have 7 sets of tires. They had 8 to start, 1 on the car and 7 in the pit. So pit strategy, tire strategy, always a big point here at Auto Club. They're going to burn a set here on lap number 20 as everyone comes down to the attention of their crews.
Yeah, very, very early pit here in lap 20. Of course, we're racing it down to lap 65 here in stage number 1. We'll watch these drivers here down pit road. And guys, here, this early pit stop, the first pit stop of the night here. What do you think these drivers are focusing on?
I'm focusing on that 51. I don't know what happened there. He just backed up through like 3 pit stalls out of his own stall. So he was in the correct one and then reversed. I don't know if he had it in the wrong gear when he tried to get out of his stall, That would be a first if that's what occurred. But you do see the race off pit road there. To answer your question legitimately, though, Will, I think these guys are going to focus on getting a good restart here because they know that we are 45 laps to the end of this stage. With the caution laps and the pacing, using a little bit less fuel, it's not a question. We know that these guys are absolutely good to make it to the end if they pitted, which every single person did. So you know it's probably going to be green till the end, or at least you can kind of plan on that. And if that's going to be the case, you want to get as good of a restart as possible. And I think that's these guys' focus.
Yeah, here right now as we're watching this battle off of pit road, the drivers will settle back in. We'll grid back up here for some more green flag racing. Looking at just in the range of around 40 odd laps to go here in this stage, guys. What are we looking forward to here when we go green flag racing here once again?
Well, everybody learned what their car is going to do. They kind of learned a scope of. It wasn't quite a long run, but it was just at that transition point between a short run and a long run. So they kind of got just enough to learn. Maybe they need to make some tire pressure or wedge adjustments, kind of learning about the guys around them. And we do have split cam on screen right now. I think we'll see what happened to Jason Baker. He pulls into his stall, and it's almost, he just completely locked it up. Went through this. Oh, yeah, he just overcooked his stall by probably an entire stall. And then still, wait, someone make sense of this for me.
Well, so he did overcook it. He went into the stall ahead. I think he backed up, and it said he was still too far forward. So he slammed reverse, but he went too far into the stall behind him, kind of looking like
probably try to reset
driver.
his lollipop man, I'm assuming.
yeah, but it kind of looked like a student driver learning how to parallel park and hitting every car in between. Kind of funny looking, but definitely disastrous. And I think you're right, Corey. Probably just trying to get that guy reset because it was not servicing him.
Well, thank goodness that we don't have pit collisions.
Yeah.
I have been told they are in development, but they said that about 4 years ago. So we'll take that with a grain of salt here. But we are getting ready for the first restart of tonight's race, coming off of turn number 4. That iRacing Mustang pace car going to take that hard left into pit road. Don't know why Shaq's on the screen, but maybe I can be enlightened later. Entering the Geico restart zone. Matt Long getting on the loud pedal. Green, getting ready for the restart. And look at the push from Bobby Anderson in the back bumper of Matt Long, sending that inside line top 2, clearing the inside lane.
Down into 1 right now. Top 2 positions are separating around 1 and 2. You see that 3rd place position of Patrick Gitter right there in that 21 machine. Some big movers, though, guys, out of those pit stops as we come off the corner number 2. We look at Dustin Hall up 16 spots in the 7th position, and Alex Murray up 8 spots in 6th, and Robert Miller inside the top 5, currently up 8 spots from the drop of the green flag.
But that restart was pretty interesting. I don't know how that number 5 timed it the way that he did, but he was able to give a huge shot to the 97. I mean, he went pretty much in perfect unison with the leader, and that kind of gave them some separation, which opened up the door for these guys a little bit further back to battle it out for 3rd. That's where Robert Miller took advantage. He's trying to work over the number 76 of Derek Heitman right now, and get her in 3rd in that number 21 race EPI machine, getting a good run down the back straightaway. But if you're the number 5, if you are Robert Anderson, you got to be rethinking your strategy here, I would think, because in the first run, like Corey pointed out, it seemed like he might have cooked his tires a little bit sooner than everybody else. He was falling back at the time of that caution, losing positions. He's got a second chance at life here. He's got 4 fresh tires and a completely green run to the end of the stage, but he's got to be a little bit more careful on those Goodyear Eagles.
Yeah, the general consensus that you will see is that the guys who early in the run are going to the top are probably, and I say probably because some guys are good at it, but the guys up top will probably fade earlier because you do put more load into the tires on the outside lane. There's no rubber up there, at least at this point in the race, very little. So it is more abrasive up there. So if you run the top early in the run, you may be fast, and you can see guys up there right now. I see who's got up there right now. I think that's Danny Gunnicksman. He's up there making some time, but I don't know how that will sustain over the course of 10, 20, 30 laps, if he'll be able to keep the life from the tires up there.
Yeah, right now as we dig down to 1 and 2, we see side-by-side battles for 2nd and 3rd right now, guys, here as we come off of the corner. The rest of the field, though, very fanned out. We have a couple of 3 wide battles, though, for the track as we come off of 2 here. Things are heating up just a little bit here down the backstretch.
Yeah, it seems like these guys are trying to figure out if they want to try to work their way through the field and get that track position, or if they want to save, and we're seeing some split decisions. One driver who's not too focused on saving, I don't think, is Chad Genningsman in the number 2, or I'm sorry, the number 98. He is absolutely flying through the field. He made a heck of a pass, not only on Derek Heitman, but also on Alex Murray just a moment ago. Now he's looking to get a little bit further up the grid as he takes 3rd place away from Patrick Gitter. This man is on a mission, you guys.
Now that he is, but is the mission too early? That's what we'll have to find out. We don't know what his setup is. He's going to the top of the track. So as I said, I don't think that that's going to be good on the tires, but he's probably better than me because I'm not that good anymore. I don't get to race as much as I used to. But look at Anderson, given the bump to the back bumper, a lot of bump traffic here at Auto Club. He came right up in front of Guttingsman there on the front straightaway with the snaking technique. Going to the bottom of the track is Anderson, and then 98 goes to the top. Got to watch out because Pat Gitter in that 21, he's trying to make something happen and fill in the gap here. So that's something that these guys have to worry about. You make a pass, you may not get past, you may set yourself up and open the door for somebody else.
Yeah, Matt Long now busy at work, and the 97 machine just had to block both lanes as we enter into corner number 3. We were single file down the front stretch, but like a Swiss Army knife, we went all sorts of different directions off of corner number 2 down the backstretch right now. Matt Long still trying to hold on the lead, but has a full train of speed coming behind him as now Chad and that 98 machine to the outside into 1 and 2.
Yeah, Chad drove it in deep. That had to be at least 50 feet further before he even considered lifting, and that gave him a considerable advantage, and he is now clear into the lead with about 4 car lengths to Matt Long, who is now getting a mirror full of that number 21, trying to push him a little bit closer now. Anytime we see that sort of separation, a little bit like Daytona and Talladega, it's going to close up. The draft is pretty powerful here, but I'm just curious now. Chad has the opportunity to slow his roll. Okay, he raced his way through the pack, passed a lot of cars, probably burned up his tires quite a bit doing so, but now he's got the lead. He can set the pace and slow it down, but is it too late? Are his tires going to fade faster than anybody else's?
I mean, he can let them cool down now, but as we know, once you heat them up once, they're usually done for the whole run, but he's proving us wrong here. But something to note as well is somebody else has joined the party. In fact, a couple guys have joined the party. Dustin Hall in the number 1 ride, he's up to 4th. RJ Root in the 45, he's up to 5th right now, and he's actually trying to pass Hall on the outside. So guys, Dustin Hall, he started in the mid-20s. RJ Root, he was, I think, all the way back there. 32nd he started this race. So between pit stops and fast cars, not even halfway through stage 1, already find themselves in a great position.
And you look at that right there, RJ Root up 28 spots inside the top 5 right now here on lap 30 as we dig down to corner number 3. Right now, RJ is moving in the right way up the grid here as we hit the apex of 3 and 4 off of 4. We'll make it lap 31 with just about 30 odd laps to go here in stage number 1.
We got 3 of us here this week, guys, so we have to, between all 3 of us, one of us has to remember what lap the stage comes on because we always seem to forget. So now we have even one less excuse because there's 3 of us. So 65 are about halfway there, and based on the fuel numbers that I learned last night, 45 is the safe number, but if you really stretch it, you can almost get to 50 if you really put it in fuel save mode. So it will be easy enough to get to that point. But Gunnick's been pulled away by a half second. I think the farthest that we've seen really anybody pull away, we really haven't seen any big separation, but he is starting to pull the gap on that, so we'll see if that continues. Good portion of the field has strung out to single file formation or perhaps double file, and as I'm just kind of scrolling through everybody, guys, I think these guys have really started to phase out of the pack racing and just try to feel out their cars and get through this race.
Yeah, we see it right there when we come off that front stretch into 1 and 2. The field tends to separate, and then down the backstretch once again, Andre, that field goes to the straight line. What do you think the cause of that is here tonight?
Right now, I think it's just patience. I think we're finally at the point in the run now where the tires are starting to get a little bit older. They don't have the life in them that they had on the initial restart. So they're just trying to kind of settle in and make sure that they can keep themselves safe until the end of the stage. But there is one driver who is not quite as content as everybody else. Like you mentioned there, Will, they all kind of want to go single file. But the one car I'm noticing that is kind of poking his nose out here and there is Dustin Hall in the number one. He has tried numerous times to just side draft the car in front of him, RJ Root in the 45, and it hasn't quite come to fruition yet. But I should point out, Team Conti, they've had some success here at Auto Club in the past. If you remember, just a couple seasons ago, Auto Club was home to quite possibly the only rain delay in iRacing history. The race started, and everything was going according to plan, and the Team Conti machines weren't necessarily the fastest on the track. They didn't seem to be the cars to beat. And then the iRacing servers said, you know what, we're just going to stop functioning. So half the field got disconnected, and the admins were forced to make a choice. Do we continue racing with half the field now just into the void, or do we set up a new session? Well, they ultimately decided we're going to throw a red flag, we're going to set up a new session, get everybody back in. And in the meantime, here up in the booth, we were just kind of watching a replay of the Daytona 500 from that season while we got everything sorted out. But while we were doing that, Team Conti was going to work. They were looking at telemetry. They were looking at data from that initial session and figuring out how can we make the car better? How can we improve it? Well, they found out how, because I believe it was Adam Benefield for Team Conti who then went on to win that race as a result of that research and those changes he made during the rain delay. Now Dustin Hall, driving for the same team, Team Conti, is not only going to make the pass on the 21 of Patrick Gitter, but he's going to get down low of the 45 and put himself on the podium.
And all while, as we've said, the 98, we were worried about the tire longevity of Gunningsman in the 98. Well, it's starting to rear its ugly head here as Matt Long does retake the lead, and now that the 98 has lost momentum, now he is in the clutches of RJ Root, who's also in the clutches of Dustin Hall, and again, top 10 or so under a blanket. Now they're starting to fan out in Auto Club style, using all of the available real estate there. Root trying to go in the fourth lane. He's going to get the run, and he's going to try to cross over. Is he going to cross over? Or is he just going to give him a bump draft? Looks like he's going to go cross over, go to the inside, try to go door to door, entering corner number 3. Is the inside going to have enough momentum to clear that pass for the second spot? Looks though it will. He's going to go up at RJ Root, P2.
Yeah, P2 right there. RJ ruined that 45 machine. Now clearly in second as the battle for third rages on. We have cars making contact on the front stretch.
That was Carl Dodson there with the big save down to the bottom. Lost a ton of spots, but luckily he has the car in one piece.
Yeah, he definitely could have been in a worse situation than how that turned out. He was able to get that car gathered up, which is really all you can ask for. This track is so fast, and this car can get so squirrely so quick. But right now, we've got a 3-wide situation developing right here. Derek Heitman is actually going to concede a position to the number 22 of Alex Murray, who just made a 2-for-1 special through 3 and 4, putting himself up into third. But Chad Gunningsman, he's going to try to maybe strike back. He's getting a good run with the draft down the front straight. Now into 1 and 2. What is he going to do? He's going to try to dive down low? Well, maybe, but that 22 is using that high line. And man, oh man, there is a ton of speed to be had up there, at least for right now. Look at this run he's about to get.
Yeah, we had on the top of the screen, we did have on the multi-cam view, did have the incident involving Dodson there, just kind of a checkup on the exit of 4, but all does continue just fine. But as we kind of go back to that battle that we were just discussing and all of the different lines at play, this is classic Auto Club, guys. We have guys on the bottom, we have guys in the middle, we have guys at the top, and what happens? They all meet and they all end up running very comparable speeds, and that gives us a 3-way battle for the lead. Entering turn number 1, RJ Root gets the position. Up on the top of the track is Matt Long. He's going to have the run, he's going to have the speed, but look at on the bottom of the track with Murray. Murray gets the bite down there, but Long's going to give the bump draft to Root. Murray's going to try to side draft, pull him back, and let's see what happens in 3.
Yeah, going down to 3 right now. Murray in that 22 machine been watching him down the backstretch right now, just inch at positions here. As they're going to ride on board with that 22 here on the top side lane. You see the 97 of Long now go to the inside of Root. You get a courtside seat of the battle for the lead as we cross the line, make it lap 40 going down to corner number 1. Still side by side for the race lead.
And it looks like the 45 is going to get the advantage, at least for the moment. But the 97 is going to slide up the track, maybe try to get a side draft, which is pretty effective at this track. And you can see it is stalling out that 45's momentum. He's going to rely on the 22 to give him a shove back out to the lead. But Matt Long doing a great job holding his own on that bottom. I think as these tires get older and older, the top's going to become more and more viable, just like you were talking about earlier there, Corey. And we're starting to see that play out in real time because there's less and less drivers like the 97 that are still sticking to the bottom. We've got Derek Heitman, Alex Murray, Patrick Gitter, all of these drivers starting to migrate towards the top. Really only a few holdouts down low. You've got Robert Miller, you've got Adam Benefield, who, by the way, Adam Benefield starting at the tail end of the field. He just cracked the top 7.
Sounds about based on his experience last night, going 37th to win stage 1 in Division 2, having the same car and making that same headway. And I do want to point out, we were obviously focusing on the battle for the lead. That second pack that starts right around maybe 13th, 14th, they were 4 and 5 wide a few laps ago. So there's racing all throughout the field, even if not going for the lead. But on board with Benefield here as we go back to the battle for the lead. You can see the bump drafting in full force, but again, look at the line shifting as they enter turn number 1 as we have the multicam on track, or rather on screen. But huge battles all over the track. Derek Heitman trying to put his hat in the ring here to try to go for the lead.
Yeah, a lot of battles for the lead right now. Down into corner number 3. Heitman trying to fight Root up there at the top. The 45 machine will take us to round 3 and 4 there on the inside lane. Still battle for second raging on, though, as some cars are preferring that top side lane. Some cars preferring to walk that white line as we cross this line. Make it lap 43 as RJ Root takes us down to corner number 1.
Yeah, he's going to take us into corner number 1, but he is bringing a whole lot of competition with him. He's got the 22, the 97, the 83, and the 76 breathing down his neck as, Matt Long gets a little bit loose, slides up a lane, nearly makes contact with the 22, but he's able to gather it up. That is one thing. Matt Long is, Matt Long's good at a lot of things, but I've noticed he is pretty good at making saves and keeping that car pointed in the right direction. But 3 wide for second, Benefield in the middle, Murray up top, Matt Long down low.
Oh, and the fence is Murray.
Oh man, I was going to say who's going to be the first to concede, and it's going to be Murray, not by choice, but by the dictation of the wall, slowing him down. The 83 moves up to second. Now, question is, driving through the field like this, how much damage has it done to the tires on that 83? Because he is currently one of the fastest cars on the track, if not the fastest car on the track. But I don't know how much longer it can last. We're on lap 44, headed to 45. We've got 22 laps left in the stage. That's quite a lot of racing to go if you're one of these cars back here who's been burning up your equipment. And look at this, Dustin Hall, teammates to Adam Benefield, now migrating to the top. He's finally abandoned that white line. I want to point out, I've seen a few cars get loose on the exit of 4. That is going to be the trouble spot for these guys. I mean, it is going to be the loosest part of the track. I know I turned some laps in practice myself. I'm running a setup that a few of the drivers in this race are running, and it seemed like turn 4 was a little bit sketchy as the run went on, and this is the longest run we've had so far.
Yeah, right now here on lap 45, just about 20 laps to go here in stage number 1. Starting to see some moving pieces here as we're slicing and dicing now down the back. Just some drivers getting uncomfortable there, guys. Starting to see some wiggles around the racetrack now here as everybody's very, very close here tonight. Not seeing any separation 45 laps into this race.
Yeah, the bumps definitely coming into play here, especially down the back straightaway. Remember, Auto Club is a very rough surface based on its 1997 pavement. So if you bump draft down the back straightaway, you will set these cars kind of very unstable. But Benefield, we talked about him. I know, Andre, you said, can he sustain with that charge through the field? Well, he went for the lead, and now he is slowly starting to just not have that same crazy pace that he had. I wonder if he did take the goodness off the tires, but either way, he's going to be in a good position for stage points, barring that he doesn't fall too far back.
We're going to go 3 wide again. This time it's going to be for position number 7, Alex Murray. Once again, finding himself on the outside line of a 3 wide situation. Probably getting a little bit tired of it at this point if you're Alex Murray, but it looks like he's going to concede the position. Robert Miller with a good run on the bottom. Derek Heitman trying to maintain his line as, whoa, man. Robert Miller sliding up just in front. It was a very close call for those guys. A little bit further back in the field, you're looking at the top of the 3 wide TV multicam. That's another 3 wide situation. We got Carl Dodson, number 16, Blake Giglio. These guys, oh, contact there. Blake gets sideways. He's a dirt track driver, guys. He's used to being sideways, but I don't know if you want to get that sideways here.
No, you don't want to get that sideways here at Auto Club here. 48 laps into this race here. Stage number 1 will come to a conclusion at lap 65. These battles raging on. I think these drivers are starting to realize how many laps we have left here in stage number 1. We have a battle for the lead right there as RJ Root and Long are just going tit for tat off of corner number 2 down this backstretch now. RJ Root clearly our race leader in the 45.
Yes, he is, and Long and using that outer lane as at this point in the race, at this point in the tire on that outside lane is starting to become more dominant and more viable on a lap-to-lap basis. You got a good run off of 4. Now he's going to go pull door-to-door. He's going to get a little separation, try to break the side draft. Root's going to try to recoup that side draft and maintain the run into 1, but Root's going to have the preferred line up against the fence, and you have to have essentially the widest camera possible because of there's like 80 feet of space in between those cars in 1 and 2. But look at Root, got the run. He's going to pull back to the inside. We're just playing a game of crossovers here at Auto Club.
I think the time for conservation has long since passed. We're getting to the point where the tires are so worn that they're not really going to get much worse no matter what you do to them. So these guys are going to battle it out for position. They want to be in clean air. That is another thing that's really important. At any track this big, 2 miles, long straightaways, fast corner entries, being in dirty air is going to massively impact your handling for the worse. And that was something I noticed a lot in testing with my team, was that the car in front had pretty much all the rotation in the world, even on worn tires. It felt pretty solid through the center of the corner. But if you were the car behind that driver, you were fighting tight the entire time. You could not get that car to turn. It was like a pregnant dump truck on ice. So these guys want to be out front.
Pregnant dump truck as opposed to just a normal dump truck.
Exactly.
On ice, mind you. We're gonna add that into the. We're gonna add that one to the book. I like that one. I don't really have a follow-up thought to that. I just wanted to, converse about that for a second.
I think I've been saying that since the old NASCAR heat days, quite frankly. But it is an apt, I would say, comparison, because when you're in dirty air, these cars, I mean, they just want to go straight. They do not want to turn. And this is a very fast track. Now it's a little bit slower corner entry now that the tires are worn, because you're just not carrying that much speed through the corners. But when the tires are fresh, you're entering the corner upwards of 200 miles an hour. So that turbulent air, you can imagine, makes a massive, massive difference. And the other thing I'm noticing here too, guys, is we're starting to finally see something we've not seen all night long. That is separation. We've got this lead pack, 4 cars, who are starting to get a little bit separated from one another. And then you've got about 7 or 8 car lengths back to John Delaney in 5th place, who is just ahead of Dustin Hall and Robert Miller, who's kind of engaged in a pretty close battle with Alex Murray.
Yeah, we are starting to get just a little bit of separation here. So the tires starting to slowly wear. The setups and the handling issues that are being presented starting to cause these guys to separate as the slipping and sliding does commence here. And you can just see the biggest thing that is kind of scary here, guys, is when you have someone running the wall and you have someone running the white line. Like as I said, there's almost 80 feet of difference in between you. And when you both come together on corner exit, it's very hard to see the guy on the bottom coming up, the guy on the top coming down, or coming straight off the wall. It really creates a difficult situation. You really have to have that peripheral vision.
No, exactly, Corey. Here as we dig down to corner number 3, race still being led by the 97 of Long. What I like to think about is that fair ride where you sit down in the bucket seat. It throws you close to the gate, It brings you back to the middle. It throws you close to the gate.
The
It brings you back to
scrambler.
the middle. That's exactly what these drivers have to go through all race long.
And it is a workout, and that's one of the challenges of this league, with it being 100% race distance. That's one of the reasons this league is so popular. It's really one of the only ones on the service with this level of participation that runs the full distance for the NASCAR races. And so, you know, these guys are being subjected to what you guys called the scrambler for 200 consecutive laps. And generally, with the class of the field and the skill level that you often see, we don't tend to get that many cautions either. So it's a workout for these guys, fighting the force feedback on the wheel on these long green flag runs for 3, sometimes 4 hours in a row. It almost becomes a bit of an endurance event as they have to try to fight the elements, fight their own fatigue. Look at this, a little bit further back, we've got another battle brewing. That's Cameron Stone. Last time we talked about him, he was involved in a scuffle with the number 29 of Tanner Marty, but looks like he's gained a few positions here, guys.
And then just to kind of close up that point, Andre, with endurance, when you're running the wall, that takes the utmost focus. You have to be, you're running an inch or two away from the wall. You don't get a break from that. So if that is your line of choice and you're running that 10, 15, 20 laps in a row, believe me, it is mentally exhausting to be able to do that as we do come to 10 laps to go in the stage. Following up with everything we got going on, Matt Long up by about 0.4 of a second as we're on board with Cam Stone, currently running in the 17th position here. Jim Schofield is in 10th. That will be the last stage point as we have 10 laps to go in the stage.
Yeah, Corey, if I can pick up there, what you were just talking about there with Cameron Stone riding on board there, 21 spots up from the drop of the green flag. We look at our top 10 right now, guys. We have Jim Schofield in the 10th spot, up 11 spots. We jump up the grid a little bit more. We go to Dustin Hall in 7th, up 16 spots. Adam Benefield up 21 spots in 5th, and then RJ Root up 30. So a lot of big movers so far here in Stage 1.
Always fun seeing comers and goers in a race. It's something you don't see at a lot of tracks where we have so many fresh repaves across the NASCAR service. It's just very nice and refreshing to see a track that really tests the driver. You have comers and goers. You need to nail the setup. You need to nail the line. You need to, be good on the tires. You need to know where to run and where to take advantage of certain situations. These drivers' tracks are becoming few aplenty, which is why so many drivers are so sad to see the Auto Club Speedway turn into a half-mile bull ring. And I did see some of the stats. I have no idea how they're fitting a half-mile bull ring into 89 acres of space, but that's a topic for a different day. But either way, these guys very sad to see the Auto Club Speedway go, but at least we do have the digitization, and you can always run an all-star race here in the future. It doesn't always have to be spot-on simulation, right?
It was a bit of a disastrous moment for RJ Root. I believe it was up into the outside wall, and he was stuck to that thing like it was made out of super glue. He could not get off. He lost a lot of time, continuing to lose positions even now as he's stuck on that high side. Got to wonder if he's got a little bit of damage. Now, again, these cars are in tank mode, as you said, Corey, but sometimes if you just get that bodywork bent up at the wrong angle at these sort of drag-oriented tracks where you have a lot of aero impact on your handling,
in the fence,
it can really slow you down. And another car in the fence. That's RJ again.
To quote an episode of SpongeBob, he popped the bubble. That bubble of air against the wall. And he just ran a little bit too hard, popped the bubble into the fence, but luckily looks like everything should be fine. But the biggest test of a driver is when you hit the wall, run on the top, and then what do? You go up there and you run the same line again, and that's exactly what he just did. So obviously he knows he messed up, but you got to be fast, you got to do it again.
Yeah, RJ Root in that 45 machine, living that full send life here tonight. Just had a touch with that topside wall, and now right back into the mix, right on the back bumper of the pack in front of him. Now to the inside here, now trying to press the 3 wide issue here, coming off of the corner right now, guys. We have less than 5 laps to go here in stage number 1, off of quarter number 2 down the backstretch.
Oh, and a dicey moment between the 15 and the 6. They made contact. John got sideways, the 15 got sideways, but they stayed going the right direction somehow or another. They didn't even get separated. They're still nose to nose through 3 and 4. Now John's going to get a little tight coming out of the corner. And I should say, at a lot of tracks, especially larger tracks like this, the outside is going to carry more momentum on corner exit, but turn 4 is a little unique. Because of the way that it arcs out, you actually want to be lower in the corner. John makes contact again, this time with the 76. He's going to give him a healthy little door tap there. And the number 45 says, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. I'm going by on the high side. He picks up 2 positions that he previously lost. And in the meantime, we've got 5 to go in this stage. Matt Long driving away with it. And Robert Miller in 3rd, just behind the number 21 of Patrick Gitter. He was kind of a big benefactor to all of the chaos that just transpired. That 3rd place not secure because look at this, guys. Adam Benefield sending it down low.
I'm gonna start off, Andre. It's gonna be a year's worth of puns, but I gotta do it. Okay, you ready? Don't give the stage to Matt Long yet, because I'm telling you, Patrick's gonna get her done. Because he definitely does have some speed.
I would like to formally announce my retirement from the booth.
And if for those who don't know, Andre is actually going to be working with me for 25 races on PTR TV on Monday nights. If you like puns, you can catch him here, and you can catch him on Monday nights as well. So, but either way, I don't actually think he's going to make that happen. I just wanted to make the pun. But either way, we talked about earlier, a rookie in that number 21, a Pat Gitter. At least in the series, obviously not in the sim racing tenure, because he definitely has the speed. He's going from about a half second down to about 0.3 of a second, kind of working in that bubble, but there still is a chance that he could get it. We're in 2 to go in the stage. Long has that advantage, so he'll try to make it happen. And a little bit of traffic ahead of those 2. I don't know if it'll be too big of a deal, but still have some good racing on for the majority of the top 10. And looks like Johnny Broussard has got into the final stage spot, and Schofield and Hall trying to take that away from them.
Yeah, as we come on to the front stretch right now here on lap 63, make it 64. Guys, I am very impressed from the drive of the 97 of Matt Long right now at the top of the grid. That lead has interchanged a few times here in stage number 1, but the 97 has always been in the mix, still leading the way here around corner number 2.
So he's got about another circuit and a half around Auto Club before he can secure the stage win in that number 97 machine. Patrick Gitter still trying to, now I want to say get her done every time, but he's still trying to find his way to Matt Long, but he's starting to fade a little bit. I think he may have cooked his tires. Look at this, the Tide Ride trying to clean out the competition. John Delaney. There we go, more puns for you.
Meanwhile, this is the white flag on the stage. Is Matt Long going to be nice to the admin and let him stay on the lead lap? Or force him to take the lucky dog? It's going to be kind of a close call here, but this could be a beneficial moment for Gitter, as it could slow him up there with that runoff of 2. Not going to be enough, but let's just see what kind of mood Matt Long is in pertaining to being nice to the admin here. I think he's going to be mean. You think he's going to take it away? He's going to go for it. He's going to put Tavares a lap down. That's going to take him off the Christmas card list. Oh. But we're going to come to the, I think Tavares might be the one pushing the caution flag button here, so maybe he'll do it strategically. But that is the lap 65 completion. We will await the caution momentarily, and there it is. Tavares does stay on the lead lap.
So stage 1 is complete. Matt Long is your winner. I'm not 100% sure on the status of Hickenbottom, if he was able to stay on the lead lap. I believe he was. Patrick Gitter is going to be 2nd in the stage. Adam Benefield all the way up to 3rd from the tail end of the field. Not a bad run in stage 1. Robert Miller is going to get up to 4th. RJ Root got into the wall a couple times, but that's not going to keep him from getting 5th in the stage. John Delaney, well, the number 6 is in P6, so I guess all's right with the world. Robert Anderson is going to be P7. Derek Heitman 8th. Alex Murray 9th, and rounding out the final driver to get a stage point, it's going to be Schofield. Now, I'm actually not 100% sure if Schofield is going to be scored for this race, because I'm looking at his car, and I mentioned this before we even went live, but he's got a sim stamp number on top of the actual paint scheme number, as far as I can see. So the rule in the league is that you can't have the incorrect number. If you have the incorrect number on your paint scheme, you will not be scored. But I don't know what the rule is about having 2 of the correct number.
Yeah, that's a visual faux pas. I'm not sure if it's actually tangibly wrong, though. Carlos saying it could be a font. It could just be a really ugly number. Maybe that's the intended paint design. I mean, let's think of it in all contexts. He's fighting for the ugliest number. That was their goal, and for that he succeeded.
I would hope that's not intentional, but different.
I'm fighting for him. I'm fighting for him. He's a Ford driver, but I'm still fighting for him. But all the while, pit road becoming a busy place. As remember, we had 7 sets of tires to change. We've already burnt 1, so still puts us in a good position here as we are about 40% distance here. I think that puts us in a good tire position if for a lot of cautions come out. Let's see if everybody can get in their stall, and particularly, what was that, the 51, who absolutely cooked it last time. We'll see if anybody else makes a comparable mistake.
Right now, as we're watching these pit stops take place, only 2 cautions so far here tonight. Guys, of course, we had a caution flag fly at that stage break. Let's see how this field gets shaken out here after these pit stops. But what I've noticed so far tonight, guys, it's very clean racing. Not a lot of guys getting loose on the racetrack either. You've seen some guys maybe touch that top side wall, but a very clean pace so far.
Yeah, and Andre, I want to kick back to you, because obviously you've been with the series for quite a bit of time. We were talking pre-race and then in prior days that last year's race here at Auto Club, it was kind of more of a boxing match than it was a race based on what the statistics say. But what are the differences that you see in the driving and the racing between tonight's race, which is modestly clean, and what happened last year in the same event?
I think the biggest factor here is the change in the tire model and the handling of the next-gen car. Last time we came to Auto Club, we still had that weird handling quirk where, because of the diffuser, once the car got sideways, there was no saving it. It was kind of like an Indy car. Once you lost the air and that downforce, it was just going to spin out, and there was nothing you could do. Nowadays, this car is a little bit more docile, and we've seen a few cars get sideways. John Delaney, Robert Miller, they've gotten really, really sideways. Even Matt Long, our stage winner, has gotten pretty sideways, and they're able to correct it. So I think that's the biggest thing. We are going to bring in our stage winner, and I'll hand him to you two, because while you interview our stage winner, I'm going to go ahead and actually go talk to Damaris and figure out what the scoring situation would be for the 47. But in the meantime, here's our stage winner.
All right, Matt, we're on to go. It's a quick question. Congrats on the stage. How's that car feeling for you?
Yeah, it's feeling pretty good, and maybe just a little bit tight, but I think it'll come to me.
Yeah, you were able to pull away. We haven't seen many guys be able to break the pack, but you were able to. You think that that's going to be a trend that carries on?
We'll see here. I know these guys get ramping up here. I know Benefield, Root, Delaney, they all look like they have good cars, so we'll see. It'll only get more aggressive here for sure.
All right, we'll let you get back at it, man. Congrats on the stage, and good luck.
Thank you.
Right now, Corey, as we're down the backstretch here, that was our stage number 1 winner there. Corey, how do you think the 97 is going to fare here in stage 2?
Well, based on what he just did, Will, he pulled away. He did something that very few have done, so do exactly that. Run the same pace you did on those tires. Do exactly the same. Just duplicate that run as best as you can, and just try to work around your competitors. But now you have Adam Benefield on fresh tires right up front. He hasn't been in that position, so now let's see what he can do now that he doesn't have to drive through the field. Pace car has pulled in. We enter the Geico restart zone here. Starting stage number 2. We'll wait long to get on the loud pedal. There he does. Green, green, green. Look at that restart he gets. Pulls away by 2-3 car lengths off the get-go. He's going to have full lane choice heading into turn 1.
Yeah, Matt Long, the 97 machine, will lead that pack of beautiful next-gen race cars around 1 and 2, off of 2 down the backstretch.
So it was a long run down.
Into the fence is Miller there. Sorry to cut you off. Robert Miller in the fence.
No, you're perfectly fine. Just a little bit of a scuffle there. Again, we've seen a few cars get into the wall there, and the damage doesn't seem to be affecting them too bad. So we'll keep an eye on Robert. We'll keep an eye on that 45 and see how their pace holds up. But as I was saying, it was a long run down to pit road. I had to quickly just shout into the window while Damaris was pitting. So he says it does not matter how many of the number he has as long as it's correct. So he could have 3 of those numbers, and as long as they're all 47 or whatever his number is, he will be scored. But in my mind, guys, this opens a paradox, because what if your number is 1, and then you have a second 1, and it becomes an 11?
Ooh.
Do you get scored? It's hard to wrap my brain around.
Well, that's where you start being intentional, though. So I think at that point you do, because that you have to be intentional to do that. Unless they're space. I mean, if they're right on top of each other, that's one thing. But if you're spacing them out, that is another thing. But maybe we could have the ugliest number competition one of these days and test out all these little technicalities. That'll be something fun to do. We like having teamed races here. But Benefield to the inside, Derek Heitman to the outside. The outside has the rubber in it from the first run, so it may come in earlier than it did in run number 1. Heitman's going to scrape some paint off the right side of his vehicle there, and Pat Gitter is going to try to give him a little bit of momentum back with a little bit of a bump draft down the back straightaway. But again, people running that top of the racetrack, we can see the risks that it does take at hand.
As Heitman on the top side there in the 76, we're coming off of 4 right now. Matt Long in that 97 machine. You're talking about paradoxes over here. We're starting to get into counting how many Spider-Mans there actually are here in that universe as we're side by side. Battle for the lead down into 1 right now. Heitman, Gitter, Long right now battling it out for the race lead off of 2.
A very familiar battle. These guys have pretty much been the class of the field all night long, and now into the beginning of stage 2, we're not seeing anything change too much. I do want to point out we have possibly our first casualty of the night. Alex Princeton in the number 9 has lagged out of the session. His packet upload was too low. He got removed by his ISP, and that may be the night done for the number 9, because I would expect going into this race that having something like that happen wouldn't be too disastrous for points, because you could get back in the session and then pass all the drivers who were involved in all the cautions that I was planning on having. We're not having those cautions, guys. So when something like that happens, and we've been green pretty much all night long, 39 out of 40 cars still on the track, it's going to be tough to make up any points.
Yeah, and to that same point, we have 39 guys still on the track. Only one of them is off pace, and that being Pat Mouchet. And the number 17, the Boogity Camaro. Is that a sponsor, or does he really like Darrell Waltrip? Don't quite know. Maybe that'll be a topic of discussion later. But 39 cars still on the lead lap. Well, 38 on the lead lap. So a single mistake will cost you the entire field. You'll be in third. You go all the way back down, and to get 2 points on the day. So thus far, you have to have everything go correct. No technical failures. No issues on track, or it could be catastrophic in the point standings.
Sure, it could be right now. Matt Long in the 97, I would say, is one driver that's contending for that award here tonight. No mistakes on the racetrack, currently third right there. But here we go, coming off the corner, number 4 down the front stretch right now. Some new names creeping inside the top 10. Look at Chris James in that 82 machine, up 10 spots from the drop of the green flag. Look at Brandon Pierce, up 26 spots from the drop of the green flag in that 38 machine. Cameron Stone, guys, in that 57, currently 8th, up 30 spots from the drop of the green flag. So some names starting to creep into the mix here on lap 76 down the backstretch.
So going back to Patrick Mouchet, I definitely think he's not having the best time. He just sent a message to one of our mutual discords that said, and I quote, "I hate this."
Connor Daly car from Daytona. Is that what he was given this week?
He may have. He's not having a great time, and apparently he has enough time to type in Discord while he's driving, which I can almost understand at Daytona. I'm a little bit more impressed that he's able to do it here. I also want to point out Alex Princeton in the number 9 is back in the session. So now we are back to 40 out of 40 cars on the track, and he's going to have to hope that there's some attrition to maybe get some points back. But in the meantime, he'll just have to clock some laps, see what he can do, wait patiently and see how the cards fall. But we're seeing a little bit of single file now towards the front of the field. Really only a couple cars on the high line so far. Derek Heitman in that 76, not allowing anybody to even think about getting the run. Able to stay about 2 car lengths clear of Gitter in the number 21. Matt Long, stage 1 winner. He's in third. And even though they're single file, guys, look how close they are bumper to bumper, a little bit further back in the pack. I'm a little bit worried about an accordion effect because they are right on one another.
It happened quite frequently in the Division 2 race last night, as I saw a little door tap there between Pierce and Stone on the back straightaway. Not sure if there was any intent to that, probably not. But Yeah, they did not separate at all, and that caused, especially on corner exit, as we talked earlier about the variance in lines and meeting in the middle on exit. When you're that close, you'll change lines, you'll snake down the straightaway. We saw a lot of wrecks by just mistiming things by just a matter of inches, and when they're this tight, that kind of thing is going to happen, and it has happened thus far, just not to a catastrophic degree.
We're getting to know each other very well here at Auto Club as everybody's airtight on top of one another. We're going to go multi-cam here as a single car is down pit road right now as we're down the backstretch here, down into corner number 3. And guys, I wanted to mention there, Heitman in that 76 machine on top of the grid is running some of the fastest lap times of the entire race. Lap times laid down by the 76 puts him up in the top 3 of the fastest cars here tonight.
At this point in the race, is that a good thing? Do you want to be setting your best lap time about 10 laps into a run? Is that going to be sustainable? We have to go to, lap 130. Is he going to drop like a rock and, maybe fall to 6th or 7th because he's using too much of the tires this early in the run?
Definitely a possibility. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. The drivers who are fast early on tend to fade later on, and it's not a fate that anybody's been able to escape thus far, but I wouldn't write out the possibility altogether. We'll have to wait and see. I think if this trend continues, we are in for a bit of a treat if we get some green flag pit stops, because we've not had any yet tonight. Every caution, every pit stop, I should say, has been under the yellow flag, and the track temp is fairly high right now. It's about 86, 87 degrees, kind of flickering back and forth. It's a little bit greasy, especially down on the apron. And these guys have not had the opportunity to practice hitting out of a pack like this so far tonight. 81 laps in, no experience with that. So if they're thrusted into that situation, it should be a lot of fun, especially with how close they are, bumper to bumper. But in the meantime, they're just trying to save all they can. It's going to be the same story as stage 1, but I don't know. I don't know how you balance saving and actually maintaining your track position, because you don't want to save too much. You don't want to give up that track position. We've seen a few drivers slip back through the running order and struggle to get back up front. But at the same time, man, we've seen some drivers fade. I didn't get to listen to Matt Long's interview, but did you guys maybe ask him what the secrets were to saving?
Yeah, we had a very abbreviated interview as we got him on one to go, but he did have confidence that he should be able to have a good car and try to maintain the space he had, the run he had. I don't know if they made any adjustments, but I was talking to Will, he pulled away by a second and a half. Very few drivers have done that. So if he runs the same pace, kind of runs the same way that he did in the first stage, I think he'll be in a good spot as the run progresses, and he's going to pull inside of the 21 to get her entering turn 1. He might try to go Bobby's or Uncle and take 2 for 1 here. He's going to pull to the inside of Heitman. I don't know if he's going to be able to clear. No, he's not going to be able to. They're going to have to side draft. Nope, he did clear.
Now a race leader down the backstretch. Matt Long in the 97 machine has been on top of the grid here majority of the night, although Heitman getting a big push at a route in that 45 machine. Just about to mention to you guys that 45 has been climbing up the grid pretty quickly here. The fastest car on the racetrack here. Tonight we're going to cross this line at Auto Club, put 84 on that scoring pylon, down to 1.
I cannot believe how effective the tandem drafting and the bump drafting is down the straightaways here. Just saw Root basically send Heitman 2/10 closer to Matt Long entering turn number 1 as if it was Talladega, but couldn't maintain the run, but nearly 3 wide for second there down the back. That's the 83 of Benefield trying to put himself back into the mix here. He's kind of tamed himself since the mid part of the stage. Everybody fanning out, entering turn number 3. That's Root running the fence. 21 to get her in the middle. Benefield down to the bottom. Heitman kind of just picking whatever line is not being used. And just behind that, Chris James in the 82. Dustin Hall. John Delaney has cracked this top 10. He hasn't really made his presence known in tonight's race, but that's not going to stay put for the whole duration of tonight's event.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's staying put. Not at this point. We were seeing that single file action, and we were kind of talking about how things were starting to settle out, and now, I mean, they're fanning out again. The Swiss Army knife effect, as Will put it earlier. They want to fan out 3 different lines. I saw drivers running through 1 and 2. They single file out in the straightaways, but then we get to the corner, and look at this. Robert Miller to the outside, Dustin Hall to the outside. A few drivers really utilizing that high line and then getting that run through the straightaway. You can see Robert trying to duck down low, carry that momentum as much as he can, maybe make a pass there. But yet, just a lot of different ideas of where they want to run, fanning out once more through 1 and 2. Lap 86, the stage is going to end at lap 130. I would imagine that a lot of these drivers are probably going to pit somewhere around lap 100, give or take. So they're still a ways away from that. And you'd think these guys would want to maybe put themselves in some safer positions until that comes. But nah, they are battling it out.
Now we're currently 18 laps into the current stint. So that'll put them right at about a 30-lap stint. And I just see the pushing going on this front straightaway. And I just ask myself, how long can this sustain? Because you have the 83 who's pushing the 21, who's pushing the 76. And what's the number one rule of drafting? You don't push the pusher because there's nowhere for them to go, but somehow they're doing it and everything is just working out just fine. That just shows the talent, the skill, and kind of the knowledge everybody has. John Delaney pulling all the way down to the inside as we have a wreck down the back straightaway. Devin Medeiros hard into the inside fence. But we stay green due to the placement of the wreck off track. Barney the flagman didn't seem to care about that. And immediate tow to the pits for Medeiros.
Yeah, race continues on here across the start-finish line, making 88 right now, down to corner number 1. Matt Long still leading the way in the 97 machine. You just see Getter on your scoring grid on the left side of your screen here on 3Y TV. Move up to 4th, now down to 5th. Him and Ivan are going bang door to door right now as Matt Long is essentially the only car by himself down the backstretch. More cars
replay. I thought that was live for a minute. I don't know what I was thinking, but I thought that was live. I'm like, no, not again.
I almost wonder watching that replay because Medeiros straight just locked it down. I feel like if he let it roll and tried to fight with it, he might have been able to save it, but that's also an average non-racer kind of talking about that. But either way, back to full live footage here, starting to get a little bit of separation. We talked about Matt Long pulling away, and what's he doing, guys? He has about 2-3 car lengths in the bank. Carl Dodson on the apron exiting the pits right now. Is that our first green flag pit stop of the session? I believe it may be.
Yeah, so Dodson coming in a little bit earlier than his peers, I would say. These guys are probably going to be staying out at least another 5 laps, I would assume. So we'll have to maybe see how that strategy plays out. Maybe he cooked his tires a little bit too early, didn't want to stay out on them too awful long. But we are on lap 90 out of 130 for the stage. So definitely getting up there, getting a little bit further. But I do want to go back to that incident that we saw the replay of that I thought was live. So that was kind of kickstarted by Kevin Steele getting a little bit loose and then kind of darting down into the car that hit the inside wall. And it seems like the exit of these corners is just getting worse and worse as the days go on, or as the laps go on. Turn 4 was my predicted trouble spot, but that was out of turn 2 even. So it looks like these guys can't really catch a break anywhere on the track.
I'm not quite sure what line Steele ran, but I do know when you do run the top, depending how you run the top, you know, as a driver, there's 2 ways to run the top. You can run it off the right front, you can run it off the right rear. It just kind of depends how you enter the corner. And if you are one of the drivers who really leans it on the right rear, you will have issues on corner exit. And I wonder if that is what happened. But for luck there for Medeiros, hopefully it doesn't put him in a precarious qualifying position for next week. But he'll have to be prepared for that just in case as we go 3 wide again. I mean, it's just a normal talking point at this point. Not even that new. Chris James down to the bottom, Heitman in the middle, and Root, he has been glued to the wall all race, both literally and figuratively, but still maintaining that 4th spot for the time being.
Yeah, everything's staying the same right now. Still Matt Long leading the way in the 97 machine here on lap 92. I know the folks watching along with us.
The car in the grass. Brandon Pierce doing some agricultural work there on the front straightaway grass right now, but we do stay green.
There we go. But one of the drivers that the fans were looking for there was the 22 of Murray. Now, guys, we saw that 22 early in the mix. Now the 22 back inside the top 10. But we'll check out why. Somebody was doing some landscaping here at Auto Club.
That was a very, well, I just kind of got a little sneak peek of it, but I think that may have been Robert Miller from a distance. I don't quite know for sure, but just looking at the livery, it was Robert Miller. And that, I don't know if he was trying to get in line and he misjudged it, or if he had a vendetta out. but I'm assuming he misjudged it and thought he had space to clear back in line. Maybe we can cue up drama and say that he was just really, really mad. Who knows?
We'll watch right now here on.
Yeah, maybe if Carlos can cue up a chopper cam of that, we can kind of get a really good perspective.
That looked close to me there, Corey.
Yeah, the chopper cam, we can kind of get the space. You can see he didn't get off of 4 very well at all that time, and yeah, missed it by about maybe a foot. And luckily for Brandon Pierce, he didn't really hit anything, I don't think. But he is now exiting the pits right now with 4 fresh tires, but unfortunately is a lap behind, and he'll see what he can make do once everyone cycles through.
There's another layer to that. You know, last season at Auto Club, there was an incident between Robert Miller and Brandon Pierce, but back then the roles were reversed. Brandon drove in the corner a little deep, and I know that Robert wasn't too pleased with it. Robert got the short end of it, got spun around and up into the outside wall. So this situation here, you got Robert misjudging his re-entry, getting into Brandon Pierce. Maybe a little bit of unintentional revenge, or maybe Robert remembering something from last year.
We'll have to see.
Going into pure Jimmy Spencer mode, perhaps. Because he never forgets. Even though nobody knows about Jimmy Spencer, because not many people remember NASCAR from the late 90s, early 2000s.
All right, you know what? Hold on. Let me just tell you this. If you're watching this broadcast, and I'm sorry to do this to you, Carlos, you are watching this broadcast and you don't know who Jimmy Spencer is, just turn it off. Okay, we don't need your kind.
But we do have to remember that you could be born in 2002, which is basically after Jimmy Spencer did anything relevant in NASCAR, and you could still be of legal drinking age right now. So all you'd remember is some terrible footage off FS1 off of him doing TV, but we do have some pit stops commencing here. We do have multicam to feature that RJ Root, Nolan Hodgson to the attention of their crews.
Yeah, for RJ Root right there, guys. I mentioned one of the fastest cars on the track here tonight. RJ, though, here in late stage number 2, not showing the same speed he had in stage number 1. We'll start to see the dominoes start to fall here. Pit stops ongoing here, guys. When it all shakes out, we're going to have just about 30 laps to go here in stage number 2.
So everything's starting to cycle out, and a few drivers kind of remaining on track, not quite coming down pit road yet. But I'm kind of curious to see how this plays out, because with this first set of green flag stops, we're seeing a lot more separation in the strategy than I was expecting. I thought everybody was going to come in within a lap or 2 of each other, but we're seeing 3, 4, 5 laps difference between when these guys are pitting, and that's going to have a huge effect later on in this stage.
Yeah. Always go back to a situation as a driver where I was actually good back in the day, and I lost the championship because I pit 2 laps early, and that 2 laps on tires ended up being enough of a difference that it cost me the race. Now, I'm not sure if that's going to be the difference here. Of course, we're in stage 2, so that is not of a paramount nature, but where you do have guys hitting 5, 6 laps early, I am kind of curious. I don't, right at the 30 lap mark, right at lap 100, Andre, I thought that was a really good guess, but I would have thought that once the first fast guy came in, everybody would have followed, but they definitely are working different strategies.
Look at this. We got a little bit of side-by-side action. Adam Benefield trying to take the point away from Matt Long. Benefield trying to maybe double down on his previous win at Auto Club. To the point, 83 is going to take this solo lead, but can Matt Long maybe get a run on this high side, carry that momentum, and do a bit of a crossover maneuver? He's got a lot of momentum, but it's not going to be enough. He's got to dive down low. A little bit of a side draft there. Matt Long not giving up this lead easily. He doesn't have any draft help down there, but guys, he may not need it. Matt Long back to the point, so it was short-lived for Benefield, as Matt Long just has a rocket ship underneath him right now. The question is, when do these guys pit? This is...
Field's not dead yet.
No, he's not. It's going to be another crossover, this time the 83 to the bottom, and he's got some draft help. Gitter goes with the 83, and now they're going to go 2 wide for second place. That's going to help Benefield, give him an opportunity to maybe drive away a little bit, prevent the 97 from getting that run he got last time. and he's trying to block 2 lanes, make that car as wide as he possibly can.
Yeah, right now Benefield takes us down the backstretch as our race leader, as things are getting dicey though for third. Right behind the race leader, we see a big battle between James and Gitter. Some new names
fresh
picking up in the
tires.
mix right now here, coming off of 4.
We got fresh tires, we got battles, we got comers, we got goers, we got pit stops, everything going on here at the halfway mark.
Like we saw Benefield down pit road there just off of 4. Some other big names there, but it looks like Matt Long in the 97 will stay out here. 101 on the board. Just about 34 laps to go here in stage number 2.
So everybody does shake out right now as, again, Benefield in the pits. Jack just dropped. He is now accelerating out of his pit stall. We'll see if Matt Long comes to the attention of his crew. He's coming off turn number 4. He's peeling down low. Race leader coming down to the pits. Chris James will also follow him in. A lot of room here at Auto Club to speed into that cone. John Delaney looked like he tried to gain a ton of time, and he did. Hopefully he did so legally. We'll find that out at the end of his stop, but everybody else seemed to come through right at the lap 102 mark.
So most of these drivers now cycling through. There's really only going to be a few holdouts remaining. You've got Anderson, Matt White in the 48, Cameron Stone in the 57, Jason Strategy Taylor pulling off some strategy, trying to stay out as long as he possibly can. Blake Giglio, he's been involved in a couple scuffles so far tonight, and he's one of the drivers that has yet to pit. Tracy in the 33, Kevin Steele, Tanner Marty, all these drivers just trying to hold out hope for a caution that may never come, but nonetheless trying to work that strategy if they can. I'm curious to see if it does wind up working out for Matt White. Matt obviously having quite a bit of success already this season early on, looking to maybe capitalize on that momentum, but pit road being busy these last few laps and everybody's starting to cycle out. One thing I'm noticing is that Matt Long got a really good stop. His time in and out of pit road seemed to be pretty solid, so I think he's not going to have any trouble cycling out where he was. But again, it all comes back to the tire wear. Some of these guys pitted really early, some of these guys stayed out a little bit longer. They're going to have to wait until the end of the stage for their fresher tires to really help them in any significant way, but everything getting shaken up. Look at that, Damaris Hickenbottom inside the top 5, even if it's just by strategy. We're going to take out the old Polaroid and maybe take a picture of that one.
Well, Andre, we're closing in on a very pivotal race for Damaris, because remember, he won the Atlanta July race, and we are headed to Atlanta very soon. So I think someone will be looking forward to that race on the calendar. Maybe not so much this, but P2 provisionally for Damaris. Maybe if Taylor pits, he can get himself a lap led.
Yeah, we see right now on that grid there, Andre, the reshuffling of that scoring pylon. Oh, we have a driver there a little fast on the entry of pit road and may have made contact with the inside wall there, Andre, as you're starting to see this field now starting to simmer in here on 105. We'll have just about 26 laps to go here in stage number 2. And Andre, I'm trying to see who that,
that was Taylor.
All shovels out.
Yeah, he didn't hit anything. He just got really loose, went down all the way to that inside runoff pavement, and probably not the most efficient stop, but definitely one for the highlights. And Damaris Hickenbottom, lap led.
Double O trying to really stretch out this fuel run as far as he can. I think he might stay out yet another lap. Yes, he is. He's going to soar past that commitment cone. Say no commitment for me. I'm staying on track. And I also know that somewhere Damaris is listening to the broadcast. He heard you say Atlanta, and he shook his head and he corrected you. He probably said, nope, it's Admin Motor Speedway as far as the league is concerned. So I'm sure he's looking forward to that race. But I got to wonder how much further can he go, because I'm no fuel mileage expert, but he's got to be stretching.
I, being the broadcaster last night, have the deets. So the absolute farthest you can go is 51 laps, and that is completely hypermiling it, because that's how the race was won last night. It was won on a hypermiling strategy and going about a second off the pace and saving the entire run. So, but that is a major stretch. And I already forgot who won last night too, and I just covered the race, so that just shows how good I am. I don't even remember if he's in here or not. I'm going to have to go check the details now.
I do not believe the D2 winner is in the race. I remember the name, but I don't think I'd be able to pronounce it, so I'm just not going to say it. The Double O has finally come down pit road, and it is Alex Murray who has inherited the lead by the strategy that he has pulled, as well as Hodgson in the number 12, RJ Root. I believe they've already pitted, as well as Benefiel. So what we're going to see here is we've got some drivers a little bit further back, like Matt Long, Broussard, James, Heitman, Delaney. These guys, they pitted later, so they lost time staying out, but they're going to gain that time having the fresher tires than these cars in front. So we're going to kind of see this yo-yo effect where they fell back, but they're going to come right back towards the front of the pack, and we might see some passing out on track before this stage is said and done.
Don Collio was the name, who won last night purely on the fuel strategy, and we do know that these 2-milers are very conducive to that. But to the point, Andre, we have those guys 12 laps, 6 laps, 7 lap tire delta, and what was that gap? About 5 seconds. So 22 laps in the stage and a 5 to 7 second variance between fresh tires and old tires. Most certainly there's going to be some passing. Is it going to get all the way to Murray up top on the pylon? That's what we do have to watch. I personally think so, but I'm frequently wrong, so I will not take offense if I am.
Nolan Hodgson definitely trying to maybe get some redemption from the clash at the LA Coliseum. I know that was quite an eventful race for him. He was caught up in a lot of incidents, and not all of them were his fault by any means. It was a lot of short track racing, a lot of bumping and banging. He was kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time quite a few times that night. And of course, with the damage being relatively lesser than it normally is, he kind of was able to be in more wrecks than he otherwise would. But with this strategy being inside the top 5 so far, maybe he's looking to grab some stage points and show why he's here and how he's ready to play. But RJ Root 3rd, Benefiel 4th, and again, this group is closing in on one another. Matt Long is gaining a ton of time per lap, as is Getter and Benefiel. I'm not sure if they're quite going to be able to get there in time to make the pass, but I wouldn't count it out.
Yeah, right now, lap 110, we look at Alex Murray now starting to pad that lead just a little bit. Now almost has a second lead on Noah Hudson in second. Noah with a great drive here tonight, up 34 spots from the drop of the green flag. Just about 20, looking at about 20 laps to go here in stage number 1, guys. Murray in that 22 is coming on very strong here this last half of the race.
I definitely knew what strategy he wanted to play, and he's played it pretty well. But Hodgson's closing in. Hodgson was about a second, 1.1 seconds back. Now it is 0.7 seconds between them. So you can't just think about Matt Long and Getter and all these guys that have been closing in. He's going to have competition from the car directly behind him. Look at that, down to 0.6 of a second now. So he gained another 10th through that corner alone. Hodgson trying to hunt down the leader. He's got 19 laps to do it. Top of your 3-wide TV multicam, that is a gaggle of cars racing for position, fanning out 2 and 3 wide on those fresh tires. And of course, on the bottom of your screen, that's the, I believe, the lead pack a little bit further away from these guys. So a lot of action going on all around the track. And again, huge shout out to Carlos for doing everything he does to get these kinds of angles. I don't think the viewers at home truly appreciate. He has 2 computers with 2 accounts running right now, so that we can have this split cam. It is an absurd amount of work for such a minor feature, but it makes the broadcast so much better. And I genuinely don't think I've seen anybody else put in that much effort.
Yeah, I, as a fellow broadcaster, don't have the tools or the screens or the fun stuff to be able to do that. So kudos to him as well. But up front, Nolan Hodgson has closed in within 2/10. Benefiel has closed in as well. Benefiel going to the bottom of the 12 of Hodgson. Those fresh tires have that sticky stuff on them, sticky like Fluffernutter here, getting that grip down on the bottom of the track. Is Benefiel going for that second spot, try to get the lead? Yes, the pun there, but if you look at chat, you'll know why.
Right now, down the backstretch here on lap 113 into 3 and 4. A lot of moving parts right now as we're counting it down to the end of stage number 2. Murray, though, has a lot of speed behind him coming up for that 22 machine led by Adam Benefiel, the 83 machine, who is now our race leader.
Benefield really coming out of nowhere, making a lot of passes to get to the lead. And he's got Gitter right behind him with a little bit of draft help. RJ Root still 4th place. Murray falls to 3rd. Hobson's going to fall to 5th. And I'm going to go ahead and tack on, a little bit of a sideways moment there. But I'm going to go ahead and tack on, no offense, Corey, to my previous statement. Your broadcasts are also top tier. And I would suggest anybody tune into PTR TV, especially Monday. That's going to be fun when we're working together.
No bias, right? No bias on that.
Just kind of realized how that may have came across when I was sitting here complimenting Carlos. So I apologize.
Yeah, no harm, no foul there. So all working together for the benefit of the leagues and the sim. And you will actually see a little bit of carryover. There are a few drivers in the series that will be racing on Monday night. So look forward to that. But Benefield has that lead, and Gitter is right there on his rear bumper, changing lanes in turn number 3, just running that 1 lane higher, and he's maybe going to try to do a little bit of a crossover and get a little bit better run on corner exit, maybe get the slipstream to his advantage. We have our multicam up with a 3-wide battle on screen. I see Robert Anderson in the tide ride there, Jason Baker down on the bottom, and on the top of the track is I can't quite make out who that was, but there was somebody on the top there, 3 wide. So a lot of good racing going on here as there's 14 laps to go in the stage.
14 laps to go right now. You see Matt Long now up into the 5th position, our stage number 1 winner, trying to overcome some mistakes during this race here tonight, now trying to creep up through the grid right now. Murray now down to 4th, RJ Root 3rd, Gitter 2nd, and Adam Benefield, our race leader here on lap 116.
Benefield trying to double down on his previous win here at Auto Club, and definitely looks like he might have a car to do it, but Gitter is no slouch either. He's been up front all night long, hasn't led the most laps, but he's been in 2nd and 3rd and just right with the leaders on a near constant basis, and it seems like he may have an opportunity to make a lunge for it here late in the stage as long as he protects those tires. Matt Long has worked his way up into 3rd in that 97 machine. He's about a 2nd back from those top 2 cars. We'll see if his slightly fresher tires give him the opportunity to make it a 3-car battle for the lead. Murray clinging on to 6th place. James did take that top 5 from him for the moment. And John Delaney, who I thought was going to gain a little bit more than he has, still running P7. But again, yeah, he's a little bit further down the running order. But look at this timing and scoring, guys. From 3rd all the way back to 9th, it is less than a second separating these guys. They are so close.
And that is after a green flag pit stop. And typically at green flag pit stops will separate the field. And yes, it has to an extent, but your top 10 still within, the better part of 2 seconds of each other. That's just phenomenal stuff. That shows the skill level, the talent, and really how on your game you have to be in every single aspect of a race. One mistake is going to take you from that lead back pack all the way back to 20th. There's just no room for error.
Exactly, Corey. Just like one mistake and making a cheesesteak can ruin the whole thing. One mistake here tonight can ruin the whole race here with 11 laps to go in stage number 2.
You got the guts, man. I couldn't figure out how to pull that one off. For those listening, we just had a little game in chat. Put a random word in. We have to take that word and incorporate it into a pun. So already fluffing out, I've got cheesesteak. If you got more, that's how we have fun with these broadcasts, these long distance races, having some fun with it, having some laughs. So have that fan participation here as we close in on the end of the stage. And Benefield still hanging on. And I just wonder, does Matt Long have more in the tank? Because he's about a second back. We know he has that single car speed that very few have shown to have. Can he gain a second in 10 laps? He does have 2-lap fresher tires at Benefield, 1-lap fresher tires to Gitter. Doesn't sound like a lot, but on a track this abrasive, it very well could be. But to his disadvantage, those top 2 seem to be drafting right now.
Yeah, sometimes you can kind of link up with somebody and perform a little bit of a tandem draft, and it does help you get a bit of a breakaway. You see the lap time differentials on the bottom of your screen. Matt Long on the very bottom. He was faster from lap 115 to 117, very minor, 0.2 of a second on 115, then all the way down to 0.04 of a second the next lap. But for the last 3 laps, he has been a little bit slower, and then just this time by at lap 120, he gained 0.06 of a second, which it's a gain, but it may not be enough when we've only got 10 laps to go in the stage. He's got a second to make up. And again, you got to realize these leaders, not only are they tandeming, but they are in clean traffic. There's nobody that they really got to worry about navigating right now. Whereas Matt Long, he just had to get through a gaggle of cars himself. And now he got to the clean air, but it was a struggle to do so. And now we'll see if he can use that clean air to his advantage, maybe gain a little bit more. Let's see what the lap times do as they cross the line for lap 122. What will it be for Matt Long? It's going to be another 10th gained. Now remember, he doesn't need to gain that full second on pace alone. Once you get about 9/10 of a second back, which he is, you're going to get the draft. And that draft is going to do a lot of the work for you down the straightaway. It's going to pull you in a little bit closer. And he's got James in the 82 behind him, which is probably going to help his case here. I'll tell you what, we may have a 4-car battle for the lead by the time this stage is winding down.
Yeah, Andre, if we could talk, I'm sorry, Corey, if we could talk about that 82 of Chris James, fastest car on the racetrack here tonight with a 40.04 running lap times right now that are on par with Matt Long and are faster than our leader.
Yeah, right now we talked about just a minute ago, it was a second, and a 10th, and to your point, Andre, as well, using a little bit of that slipstream, a little bit of that draft to help down the straightaways, having a little more of that single car corner speed. We're now within a half second. Now it turns into the line game. Do you run the wall? Do you run the middle? Do you run the bottom? Are they going to block you? Where is the clean air? Where is the run? That's what we're going to be playing now. We have 7 laps to sort this all out.
7 laps to go here in stage number 2. Andre, as we come off a corner number 4, we're going to make it 6 laps now as Adam Benefield will take us down to corner number 1.
At the risk of sounding like Kyle Petty, let me tell you this. Adam Benefield is not an easy man to pass. He can make a car that is about 5.5, 6 feet wide. He can make that thing about 30 feet wide if he really wants to. He is really good at defense, really good at offense. I'd say he's just good behind the wheel in general. Now, obviously, his competition, they're good too. Matt Long, Getter, they've proven themselves tonight for sure. And of course, Matt Long, he's been around the league for quite some time. We know he's capable, but it's just one of those situations where some drivers are kind of akin to the Ryan Newman of the league. They're just really hard to pass. And I'd say that applies pretty well to Adam Benefield. He is just a bit of a monster when it comes to making sure that he maintains his position. So these guys got a tall order ahead of them, and the laps are winding down. Lap 125 out of 130 for the stage. And it seems like Benefield is actually starting to pull away a little bit as Long and Gitter are battling amongst themselves. You can see the Serpentine down the back straightaway trying to break the draft. This is just starting to separate these guys, and that is all playing into the 83's hands.
It is just indeed. Now, I've always been one of the strategy that I actually don't like breaking the draft, and I don't, obviously not because I want my competitors to have that speed, but you do actually lose speed by swerving up and down the straightaway like that. So got to be careful not to scrub off too much speed in those maneuvers. But look at the second, third battle. They're both going to the wall as Benefield running right on the bottom of the track. That's going to give both of them a huge surge that they're going to use in tandem down the back straightaway. Should be able to get this down to maybe 2-3 car lengths entering turn number 3, along with a huge push through the bumps down the back. Let's see where they choose to go. They're going to go middle. They're going to go low. And that gap's still 0.3 of a second. And if they do go door to door and there's a side draft, which is going to happen right now, that side draft is one big parachute. That's going to slow both of them down and allow Benefield maybe to get a 10th or 2 on them. At least it should, but it doesn't seem like that's actually happening.
They always say the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and I think if Matt Long and Gitter want to have a chance at winning this stage, they have to set aside this battle they're doing and kind of focus on drafting together, using that high line like they did. It was actually really beneficial. They did gain on Benefield when they did that, but then they immediately separated. They went side by side. They started side drafting, and that allowed the 83 to get a little bit further out ahead, and it allowed James to continue his march towards these lead 3 cars. You can see those lap times on the bottom. James in the 82 has been faster for every single one of the last 5 laps, now up to lap 128 out of 200. That is the first time that James has stalled out, but he's close enough now that he's in the draft. It doesn't necessarily matter. Into the wall goes Matt Long, and that may be his stage hopes done, as Gitter is going to get around him, and now James dives down to the bottom.
Yeah, something went amiss with the 97 of Matt Long there. Hits the outside wall. Matt Long was just chugging around positions there. Now down to fourth. Right now, Adam Benefield is not going to cruise around corners 3 and 4 here. Make it 2 laps to go in stage number 2. Adam Benefield, our race leader, down to 1.
Yeah, that's just what happens. You see these drivers, you see it in the real world. Kyle Larson, before he got his fame, what was he known for? He was known for being really fast, being in good positions, and just breaking the bubble of air against the fence and hitting the wall. It happens, but as I said, once you fall off the horse, you got to hop back on it. And Matt Long does not seem to be doing that. He hit the wall, and now he's dropping back and kind of running the lower line, but that's not going to make you the speed. You got to have the confidence in yourself to go back up there, but coming through 3 and 4 here, closing it on 1 lap to go. Stage number 2, Adam Benefield with a sizable lead of 0.6 of a second.
And we are coming to the final lap of the stage. Now remember, 10 cars have to cross the line for the completion of this lap. And Benefield is looking to be the first of those 10. Really not a lot of challenge from behind. He's got a clean track in front. Bit of a gap to Patrick Gitter in the 21. He can just hit his marks, he will be the stage winner, and we may be treated to an Adam Benefield interview after he makes his pit stop. We'll have to wait and see. It's not said and done yet as they work their way into 3 and 4. Matt Long recovering pretty well after getting into the wall, just not enough time to really get back up into the fray. He's going to get himself some stage points, but it will be Adam Benefield in the number 83 winning stage 2 here at Auto Club for the Shark Attack 400. And as soon as Damaris gets his hand on the button, there we go. Yellow flag is out on the 10 drivers to get stage points in stage 2. Adam Benefield, Patrick Gitter, James in the 82, Matt Long in the 97, Delaney in the 6, Heitman in the 76. Cameron Stone in his long-running march up through the field finally cracks the top 10 for stage 2 in 7th. Then you got Matt White in the 48, Robert Anderson in the number 5, and the final driver to snag a point is going to be RJ Root. He's been fast all night long, just maybe didn't play the strategy quite as well as he would have hoped there in stage 2. But all right, guys, this is where it gets real. No more stage cautions, no more guaranteed yellows to save your hide if things go wrong. It's going to be a race to the end from here on out.
Very much the case, and this is where the mentalities of stage racing sometimes go affray with different drivers, because we're pretty much put in the same position where we're going to have another 65 lap run to the end. We're going to have one more guaranteed pit stop. Is it going to be early? Is it going to be late? I don't really see us having a fuel mileage battle, because unless the caution comes out at a really specific time. And also, I don't really think we're going to have an issue with tires, because we still have a fair amount of tires on the wall. So it's really going to be a matter, if it does stay green, of what we just dealt with. It's going to be a kind of a carbon copy. It's going to be, when do you pit? Do you pit on the earlier end? Do you pit on the later end? And I think we saw right there with the comers and goers that you don't want to pit too much on the earlier end, but we'll see how that all shakes out. But we have one set of pit stops to go before that happens, and that is what we have right now. Everyone taking that hard left. Pit road's going to be a very busy place.
Yeah, I can't imagine anybody's going to stay out for any real strategy reason. There's a few cars that are a lap down that are going to have to wait their turn. Of course, the lead lap cars get to come down this time, and the lap cars will go one time around before they can service their cars. So you saw Brandon Pierce involved in that incident with the number 15. He was one of the drivers having to go around again, as well as the number 9. He is numerous laps down after rejoining due to his internet disconnect. But everybody working their way into their stalls. I'm not seeing any mistakes so far, no overshoots. Everybody is pretty much doing what they need to do by the book. The jack stands are going up on both sides, and it looks like it's going to be Adam Benefield winning the race off pit road, just as he won stage 2. And speaking of Adam Benefield, let's go ahead and bring him down. Mr. Benefield, you got a copy?
Go.
Well, Adam, it's looking like a familiar sight here at Auto Club. I think we've seen that 83 get faster as the night has progressed at this track before, and tell you what, it was a heck of a stage 2.
Yeah. I mean, we're just chilling. We riding this Martin Camaro here. Set and sail. We selling T-shirts on the bottom. side of the racetrack. We sold a lot of merch for the race start, so we ain't got time to bang boards up top. Plus, you know, I got a little bit of talent. I ain't got as much as, well, Matt looks like he ran out of talent. He ran into the wall, so that's why I don't really run up top.
Yeah, I mean, the top line, it seems to have some speed, but it's bit a few drivers. So are you telling us you're going to be pretty loyal to the bottom lane then?
I'm going to be wherever I got to be to get it done. You know, if that's the front row of the grandstands, that's where we'll be.
All right. Now I got to ask you, Adam, is there any chance that you lose this race? I mean, any chance at all?
Hell no.
I didn't think so. All right, Adam, go get him.
I do.
Adam Benefield out of the booth. Gotta love it. He's
The
looking like
best
he's got
interview in iRacing. There's not a question, a shadow of a doubt, or any way you could change my mind.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. There's not a better interview. He's always a great time, and we'll have to see if that confidence actually translates to maybe another race win here at Auto Club. But tell you what, he's got some pretty strong cars behind him. Delaney finally gaining some positions through that pit stop. He must have had a really good pit stop. He finished that stage, I believe, in 7th or around about there, and he gained a few positions on pit road up to 4th, so he'll be on row 2. Matt Long, of course, getting into the wall, lost a few positions, but he's going to be there on row 2 alongside Delaney. Then you got James, Stone, Heitman, Root. These are cars that have all been really competitive so far tonight, and I think we've seen time and time again, track position is pretty important. If you can get out front, that's going to be a big benefit. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm predicting a little bit of a scramble here at the drop of the green.
Going to be a scramble. Everyone trying to gain track position while the tires are fresh, and that way you don't have to kill them to get the spots you want to get them while everything's good. And John Delaney in the 3rd spot. He's set and ready to give a push to Benefield if he can time it appropriately. Headed into the Geico zone. Benefield got a little bit of a jump that Delaney was not expecting. The outside completely lost it. So they're going to fall back. Gitter is going to lose at least 2-3 car lengths. Delaney's going to be side by side with Gitter for the 2nd spot as Benefield pulls out to about a 3/4 second lead right off the get-go.
Adam Benefield take us off of corner number 2 as our race leader. A lot of battles behind him, though. 2nd place right now. Gitter, Delaney battling it out right now. Gitter will take the best of the battle right now. Down the backstretch, Benefield will take us into corner number 3.
And they're going to be single file pretty much through the top 5, and then double wide a little bit further back. Cameron Stone trying to make something happen on that high side to get into that 5th position to take it away from James, and he is going to make that move. And it seems like you can definitely use that top line to get a little bit of extra momentum and to make some passes. Cam is not the only driver we've seen do that tonight. But again, it does come at the cost of your tire wear. And I think it was important before, but now it is incredibly important to conserve because, again, no more guaranteed yellows. The only cautions we will maybe have are cautions for cause. And so far, it's been a pretty clean race.
We've had a couple of mistakes here and there, but I think we're only at, 2 stage cautions, and was it maybe 1 or 2 cause? I'm not quite sure on that. Well, 1 cause caution, so 3 cautions on the day, and this race absolutely just flying by. Now, mind you, we did have a couple incidents that did go green. For example, Brandon Pierce going to the inside grass. I think Devin Medeiros had that hard hit to the inside backstretch wall, so we haven't had a perfectly clean race, but not a lot of yellows to fight for it, so you're going to have to find the space on your own. You're not going to have the help of Barney the Flagman. I tell you, 82 machine nearly in the fence down there on the back straightaway. Lost a ton of speed. He's dropping back, but do want to point out, last season's champion, John Delaney in 3rd. We always account Kevin Harvick as the closer. He started his reputation as the closer right here at the Auto Club Speedway. Passing Jimmy Johnson on the last lap. That started a trend of him coming from the back and just coming out of nowhere to win these races towards the very end. And Delaney's been a top 10 car for the most part of this race. Hasn't really showed his hand, hasn't played his cards, but look at him going for 2nd here as this race enters its waiting stages.
Adam had a little bit of breathing room just a couple corners ago, but through 1 and 2, Patrick Gitter got a really good run with the help of Jonathan Delaney down on that low line, lending him the draft. Now, you can bump draft here at Auto Club, and we've seen it a couple times tonight, but I don't think it's anything that they're going to be doing too liberally because it does get the car really unsettled, and it can be a little bit sketchy. It could be a little bit more risky than it's worth, but it is something to keep in mind as we get closer and closer to the end of this race. If you're getting desperate to make a pass, something that they could do. So just maybe watch those drivers on track, see when they start to link up bumpers, because that's when you know they're getting desperate. But so far, just sticking close with one another, kind of tandeming down these straightaway. No breaking the draft right now. As you mentioned, Corey, you do lose some speed when you weave up and down this straightaway, and I don't think right now they see it as worth it to lose that speed. They got the fresh tires. It's going to be tough to make a pass right now as long as Adam can defend that low line and kind of make that car wide. So no need to break the draft thus far, but look at this. Too wide. I believe that's Alex Murray trying to work his way into this lead pack. And we're getting a lot of too wide back there. They just fanned out something fierce.
That's certainly the case. I mean, we see up front these guys have kind of settled out, but they have not towards the back end of the top 10. And of course, throughout the back end of the field, these guys still fanning out going 2-3 wide. And we do have the yellow flag being waved and trying to find a cause of it. I don't.
Damien Acerenza has a little bit of a tumble there. I'm not sure if anybody else was involved, but so far the 40 is the only one we see off pace. He was down in the grass, got it spun back around. Try to dial up 3-wide TV replay, identify exactly what happened. Now, I would assume he had to spin at least close to traffic. We saw.
I am very surprised. I just caught that, and I'm sure Carlos will get it queued up. There was actually spun off the front bumper of Kevin Steele in a very similar incident, as we'll have it queued up here to, I think Kevin Steele was trying to get in line and mistimed it, and I'm very surprised, based on what we've seen thus far, that Barney threw the yellow out for that, but
I'm a little surprised, too.
Actually, just looking at it, so he was actually backwards to traffic as Brandon Pierce and Stone did surpass him on the racetrack. So I guess it does make sense from an algorithmic perspective, but collaterally, very minimal damage to Acerenza, just loses the time.
And I can confirm that that was a game thrown caution. That was not the admin's. I did look in the chat and I saw Damaris through the yellow, and I was like, wait, what? And then I remembered that was just the stage a few laps ago. That one was a game caution, so everybody's coming down pit road.
Yeah, we have tires to spare. I mean, we've only come in for the most part, I think maybe 4 or 5 times. So we got sets on the wall. I got to use them.
I mean, we were just here. This is like going past 2 sheets within 1.5 miles of each other and stopping both times. What's going on here?
Sheets for us New Englanders who don't know.
It's like a 7-Eleven, but worse.
Okay. Oh, worse?
Yeah, I mean, like
the hot dog. So how long are the hot dogs on the rollers for? 24 hours?
Probably more than that. I will say Sheetz has really good French fries. That is all I could recommend getting from there. It's a crapshoot.
For us New Englanders, that'd be the equivalent of getting a donut at 11:59 at night before they're getting thrown away and they're at the point of breaking your tooth. I guess that's probably the equivalent for us New Englanders, but...
I did not need that mental image, but now I have it.
Well, I mean, have you ever wanted a donut at 11:59 p.m. that came from a fast food joint that made it at 4 o'clock in the morning?
I mean, I've wanted donuts at midnight, but usually I just keep them somewhere where they keep the moisture. I wouldn't go somewhere for them.
Keeping the... Sorry. Late Saturday night broadcast, brain does go astray sometimes, but anywho...
I'm surprised Carlos doesn't have like a that's what she said gif. I'm a little surprised. In the repertoire of memes that Carlos has at his disposal, he doesn't have that.
Carlos, could you explain why Shaquille O'Neal was on the broadcast at a restart earlier?
All right, my mic is hot. So one of you guys said something that was pretty like shocking or epic, and I was like, "Hey, yo, what?"
I don't remember what we said. I mean, I know I'm dropping controversial hot takes left and right, but I don't recall.
And chat, you guys have disappointed us because you have stopped making our adding random words in for us to quote unquote punify. So please continue with that because we want to aggravate Andre as much as possible in the next 57 laps. So please keep up with that. But we are on 1 to go. Everyone's getting doubled up, stacked up, and ready to go back. Green flag racing. Down the back straightaway here, we have 57 to go, and we have 36 drivers still on the lead lap. Pat Mouche in 37, still 1 lap down with Dardson and Princeton last drivers on the racetrack.
I think Adam's getting a little bit bored with all this pacing. I don't know if you guys just looked at the 3-wide TV chat.
If you could lead the race and still watch the broadcast and chat while on 1 to go, I guess that's just how you piss. That's how you piss excellence right there.
That's how you get the donut when it's fresh. Pace car making a hard left turn, and we're just gonna move away from the donuts and get back to
in the falafel
racing and in the falafel, yeah. As Benefiel is going to get a pretty good start there, about a car length lead over the 2 cars battling for second. Patrick Gitter, Cameron Stone. Cameron just slowly working his way up the running order now onto the podium. We'll see if he can maintain that position, or anybody behind him is a little bit more hungry, maybe hungry for a falafel. But Benefiel still leading the way as they are fanning out from about 7th on back. One of those cars in the pack is, I believe, oh my goodness, no, not laps down. Brandon Pierce in the top 10 for position. He must have been luckied off on one of these last few cautions. So after that incident, he is back in the game.
Yeah, sometimes it just takes a little bit of a reset, and that reset sometimes comes from unintentional causes by getting spun out. But take it as what it's worth. He kind of got off strategy, gets himself in the top 10, but he does have John Delaney fighting to his outside, and the number 29 of Tanner Marty just behind him in the gaggle as we are on board. He's tried to get to the back bumper of Chad Gunningsmig, where Gunningsmig led some laps earlier on, but has soon faded and hasn't quite got it back. But good bit of driving, good recovery from Brandon Pierce. He had a good run last night as well, had some trouble, so trying to redeem himself.
Yeah, riding on board with Brandon Pierce around 3 and 4 right now, Andre.
Oh my goodness, I was going to say, I know we're on board with Brandon Pierce.
Are you serious?
I was going to say,
curse.
No, that's not the curse. That is the fact that he had the 15 behind him. We couldn't see it. We were looking on the hood forward. But Robert Miller found Brandon Pierce again, and
he is the rotten donut.
He is out for blood tonight. I mean,
he's out for jelly.
The incident between them was a year ago. You would think it was sorted out after the first incident, but here we go again.
On screen.
I mean, just sending him to the falafel house down in the grass.
That was a good one. Now, let's back up, guys. Let's back up. Can we prescribe this? Can we contrive this as being a racing incident in any capacity?
They were racing, and it was an incident by definition.
So I guess by basic definition and principles, yes. Maybe we can get it on board of. Actually, I don't think we need it. This angle, I think, does good justice enough. I mean, he was trying to get a run slow-mo right here. He was looking underneath. Let's see if netcode had anything to do with it. I think that was genuine contact. Believe me, I like TNT. I know drama, and I like making drama. I am going to say that is more towards a racing deal than a revenge statement. I think it's purely coincidental. Maybe there's 1 or 2% in there, but that kind of could get chalked up as a racing deal, at least from an administrative side. I think Miller is hoping for that. As
Robert's car owner, the owner of LMM, team he's driving for, I'm going to agree and say that this was absolutely not intentional. This was a complete and utter coincidence. Nothing to it. Just an unfortunate set of situations where, these 2 cars have come together. Maybe they got magnets. Maybe there's a magnet in both the cars. They're just kind of coming together. It's not really anything to think about or worry about.
In all seriousness, no. If you were going to revenge on somebody, that is the best possible way to revenge. Because here we are. We don't know if it's revenge. You got the guy spun out. You accomplished your goal, but it looks like it was an accident. You could not do it any better. Because there is no way league admin can look at that incident and say that was 100% intentional. You can't do it. You cannot say that wreck was fully intentional by looking at it. You can't. You cannot do it. Carlos has something to show us. And we don't know what it is. So we will all find out together.
Okay, so we got some Jeff Gordon, Matt Kenseth action.
Another classic incident of you cannot say that was intentional. You look at the telemetry, you could say Kenseth checked up, you could say that Gordon was not expecting it. You cannot say that was intentional. And those, if you're going to do revenge, you got to set it up the exact way that it looks authentic, and that just nails it perfectly.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm the team owner, and you're a drama queen, so we can't be unbiased. But what do you think, Will, as the neutral third party here? What is your take on this?
I mean, you look back at other instances, in the bubble wall situation, you can blame equipment always as a good scapegoat.
I mean, okay, yeah. So you're saying the steering rack must have just
Right,
seized up
exactly.
momentarily? Yeah. I agree.
Or the screen froze for a brief moment.
Right, exactly.
You had to scratch an itch in VR. I mean, Alex Princeton, very slow here to the inside. I hope this doesn't wave off the yellow or wave off the one to go, but thus far we are still getting prepared for a green flag this time by.
As the pace car goes by, it is going to come down pit road, so we're going to go back green. Benefield again, going to have to see if he can get another good start, just like he did before. This time he's opted for the high lane. I believe he was down low on the prior restart. I could be wrong there, but either way, high, low, doesn't matter. What matters is he's in front. Patrick Gitter and Derek Heitman are going to battle it out for that second position. Cameron Stone dropping just a little bit as a 3-wide situation with the number 16, who has been trying to get back into that top 5, trying to recover from that incident earlier in the night. He's going to make the move on to Cameron Stone. That puts Giglio up into 4th. All of the cars fanning out. And again, Giglio really favoring that high side, guys. I mean, we've seen it so much out of that 16. He can make the moves on the high side, but the question is, can he save us? Whoa, huge! Oh, it's the big one. Alex Murray involved. A red car can't quite make it out. Is that...
That's Gunnigsman. Gunnigsman is the one in focus right now as I don't want to call it the big one in hindsight. I think Matt DeCiani was in that as well, so we'll get the replay queued up here. First big incident of the day as the cautions for cause start to tally on up here at the Auto Club Speedway. Replay is loading right now. Damaris Hickenbottom went around as well. Oh my goodness gracious, Murray just mutilated the fence.
Yeah, Murray, I mean, that was strange. The way he shot up to that outside barrier, I know I say it a lot, but I feel like...
He got loose, and he overcorrected, and all the jelly came out of that donut.
I mean, yeah, let's take another look at it here. Did he get loose and then just kind of snap? I mean, that's very possible. Coming out of the corner, yeah, no, you're right, just a little swirly. Just a hard right front impact. Then he gets back down into traffic.
Royally hard impact there, that was.
Robert Miller collected as well. I'm not sure how much damage he got, but Damaris Hickenbottom in the 00, he is probably ready for Admin Motor Speedway next week more than ever. Not next week, but in a couple weeks. As his day may be done after that one. But again, remember, these cars are... you can take a hit with these cars with the way the damage models work, so we can't count anybody out. Hashtag tank mode, hashtag tanky, hashtag free Bryson Hixenbaugh. Let's go on board with the number 51 machine. He was a little bit further back, and he saw all of this going on.
Except it's the 53, but it's on the 50s.
That's close enough. It's 50.
The agricultural work.
They're both patriotic paint schemes. They're in the 50s. Look, it's close enough.
Yeah, luckily the iRacing splitters do not dig into the grass, because otherwise that would be an incident. But we are on board with some vehicle right now. Tracy, we were being told, and again more agricultural work, so the landscapers can only do a half day's duty tomorrow.
This is on board with Damaris. I think he checked up because he saw the wreck happening, and then unfortunately Tanner Marty was kind of unaware. As you mentioned, Corey, the visibility is not always great, especially coming out of the corner. So I don't think Tanner was expecting Damaris to quite check up the way he did. Yeah, just
Carlos, if you can get a quick shot right now. Oh, actually, never mind. I was watching the replay, so never mind. I was just watching the damage that Alex Murray had his right front. It was on Struggle Street, but yeah, he is in the pits already, so no need for that. But all in all, I think that was about 5 guys that had some modest damage. You could see right there, Damaris getting spun around, just not really having the reaction time to avoid, and some more views on screen. You get to see once the smoke screen starts, cars in the middle of the track, frame rates probably going to 1. Really hard to evade these wrecks at that point.
Yeah, not an easy task to avoid something like that, especially when all that smoke is getting thrown up. Oh my goodness, Murray just barely. You're gonna tag him there, and
that specific wreck was reminiscent of Dale Jr.'s wreck here. I want to say in 03 or 04. That actually started his concussion streak. Just getting stuck, getting clipped, and then hitting that turn 4 wall driver's side. Very reminiscent of that.
Yeah, a little bit similar there for sure, and you could tell that wreck definitely rung Junior's bell. I mean, if you ever heard the in-car audio, he didn't know what
I'm hurt. Yeah, he was asking for help very, very quickly there, and unfortunately that started the chain of commands between that, and then he had his incident at Sonoma in the
Texas testing.
Yep. And the Kansas incident in 2011, and Lord knows whatever else happened in between here. But are we on 1 to go? We're already getting ready. Yes, we are. So 1 to go, doubled up, stacked up, ready to go. Back green flag racing on lap number 152. Adam Benefield and Pat Gitter are leading the charge on the front row. Benefield choosing the outside lane again. He may have the push with Kyle Ammon. What is he doing in the top 5 now? He has made some serious headway. Green flag in the air. Benefield's going to get a 2-3 car length advantage on both of them, and Ammon and Gitter are going to go door to door for second.
And Ammon definitely trying to make this move happen. He wants to get this track position. Not sure what kind of car he's got underneath him. We haven't really seen him that much. Like you, Corey, I was kind of surprised to see him sneak up into the podium here, but we'll see what that car is capable of. Ammon, he surprised us before. I mean, at Atlanta, where Damaris won last year, Ammon looked poised to win that race. He had one of the fastest cars in the field. He was doing pretty much everything exactly right, and then unfortunately,
heavy-duty side drafting between Long and Ammon there on the front.
That is advanced side drafting, my friend.
And luckily, they all kept it straight there, because it only takes 1 bad pixel of net code there, or just 1 mistake to send them around. But that's the skill. And Ammon with a little bit of a wiggle there off of 2. They'll remain door to door. Gitter is just absolutely just hounding the back bumper of Adam Benefield now. And I guess early in these runs on fresh tires, it is harder to make those outside passes. You really need to get 10-15 laps in where this track really fans out and the tires start to slipping. But Ammon did drop back to 4th, not giving up quite yet, taking another look to the inside. You can see the better part of the top 10 has singled out, though we do have some guys ducking out of line down the front straightaway. Looks like he's going to the outside of Gitter here. So just as I say, the outside's a little bit too early for it to work. He's making it work, and he's going to actually have the help from Adam Benefield. No, Benefield's going to go to the bottom. He's going to take the help from Gitter there. Now Ammon's going to go to the bottom, so nobody is being friends with Matt Long. And actually Benefield is being the traffic cop, blocking all sides of the highway here, trying to do whatever is beneficial for the 83, but look at Long, full send outside groove. He's going to have a whale of a run here off of 2, or is he going to go swimming to the inside with it? No, going to stay right in line and just give a huge push to Benefield on the back.
And a battle of stage winners right now down the backstretch. Adam Benefield, the winner of stage number 2. Matt Long, winner of stage number 1, now battling out here to close out this race. Around 3 and 4 here in the Shark Attack. 400 off of 4 will make it 156 down to 1.
Still door to door, nearly some contact. Door banging down the front straightaway. Name of the game here. These guys going full send, 3 wide just behind Dustin Hall. He's had a good short run car. He's trying to make it known right now. 25 AM into the inside, James to the middle, Hall to the top as he enters the top 5, currently running the 4th spot. Top 10 or so have all single filed out, but makes you wonder as Matt Long retakes the lead, is Benefield saving? Does he know he has the run later, or is that all he has in the tank and he's just going to have to hope that Long doesn't have that single car speed to pull away?
Yeah, you know, it's a bit of a wild card with that 97 being out front, because normally I would say with all the moves he was making and the speed he just showed taking the lead right there, he's probably burning up his tires. Maybe that's going to come back to bite him.
And here comes Benefield again.
But his long run speed has been so impressive. I think he can afford to use up a little bit of his tires trying to take the lead, but it is not going to come easy. It's going to be a battle because Benefield, like I said, great at offense, great at defense, just good in general. He's not going to let you take it and keep it without a fight. So these guys...
Remember, he's not losing this race. There's no way he's not winning this race. So
yeah, I mean, he told us, 100%. Oh. And as Carlos just pointed out, Dustin Hall, the first driver in the race session to breach the 39-second lap times. So the fastest lap of the race going to the number 1. The qualifying times were anywhere between 39.4s to 39.8s. So to get nearly down into a qualifying hot lap, a few laps into a tire run, pretty impressive out of that number 1.
Yeah, definitely impressive indeed. A lot of new names inside this top 10. But none making bigger splashes than the one of Hall right now, battling inside the top 4. Hall now right there has to stretch out there on the front stretch, though. He's under fire from James, who's also been very strong here. James now up to 4th here, down to 1.
Tell you what, Adam Benefield getting real aggressive with that shove to get her into turn 1. I mean, he gave him one heck of a shot. But it wasn't quite enough to get around Matt Long, so that's going to keep Benefield in 3rd for the moment. And look at this, get her down to the bottom line. He's got the 83 in tow as they are 2 wide behind him. Dustin Hall and Chris James in the 82. They are just trying to sort themselves out. And then you've got Kyle Ammon still in 6th. He's watching this all go down, saying, all right, guys, you keep doing this. You keep battling. And it's going to come right to me if you do, because he's in the catbird seat at the moment. Benefield's still trying to help Gitter, and I think Benefield's probably confident that he can pass Gitter if he could just get him up to the lead. Maybe a little bit less confident about passing that 97, because I think so far Matt Long has shown he's got the car to beat. He has been so great all night long.
Oh my God!
No! Matt Long backwards, sliding back up into the
No! Oh my goodness!
Benefield all the way down to the inside does have some left front damage to the number 83 machine, so we'll get a cue of that on replay. But just that hard, aggressive race and not giving an inch on the back straightaway was eventually and we have some doings going afoot here.
Dropping the gloves on the ice rink right now. They are scrapping here at Auto Club.
They would probably wish this was NASCAR 2005 Chase for the Cup, where you can engage fight mode, but unfortunately not a thing here. But we'll queue up the replay, see what happened there. Again, it was only a matter of time with that racing, just not giving an inch, and a super aggressive side drafting. Replay on screen. Let's see what happened.
Yeah, I mean, aggressive side drafting, and I don't know what.
Benefield looked like he was coming back from that shot. Hard to tell, but Benefield looked like he was coming back up in the line. Whether he was trying to get back in the line or just really getting a tight side draft here, we'll kind of go with the chopper cam. This should give us the full story. Super hard side draft, and just whether net code or just misjudged it.
Yeah, side draft.
The $1 million question is, why did that Long turn it back up the track rather than to the runoff pavement?
That's what I was going to ask, because if you look at the wheels on the other angle, you can't see it here, but if you look at his tires from the other angle, they weren't locked up until he was almost up to that blue wall. So I don't know why he was freewheeling it there. Let's take a look.
He very easily could have cranked the wheels the other way and spun to the runoff pavement and kept it going. But we have to remember that wouldn't have thrown a caution out if he went down to the runoff pavement, and that could have ended his potential of a win. So, I mean, TNT, we know drama. We're making it up, but questions indeed the case. But the next point I was going to make, guys, was that there was still a pit stop to have. And at this point, lap number 163 coming to 164, this puts us in the fuel window that everybody will have absolutely no problem as people exiting the pits. Nobody will have a problem finishing this race out on their current fuel and tire load.
One thing about that whole exchange that I'm curious about is the door slamming after the caution had come out between Matt Long and Adam Benefiel. I don't know who initiated it. I don't know who kind of started that, but I do know that the admins tend not to look too fondly upon that kind of thing. So we'll stay tuned and see if any decisions are made over that.
We're just prepping for the short track. We're just getting the mentalities of what this place will be in 2025, potentially.
That's a good point. That is a good point.
I'm still of the logic that they're just going to demolish the whole thing and sell all the land, but it's still supposed to be a short track as of current plans.
Yeah, and I thought they were going to rebuild Nazareth for a while, so.
So let's just talk. So there's a very interesting stat while we're under yellow and we have nothing else but falafeling to do. So there was a statistic that NASCAR sold all but 89 acres of land. So they have 89 acres of land that they own for the Auto Club Speedway. Now, as a comparison, Martinsville's is 340 acres and Bristol is 500 plus. So they have to build the entire short track, parking, grandstands, amenities, all that fun stuff in a third of the space that Martinsville has. I don't see how they can do it, which is why I think they're just going to sell the rest of it and just make the Coliseum a permanent race. That's what I think, but again, I'm usually wrong.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where I feel like NASCAR is maybe not making the best decisions here. It's kind of like where they got rid of Chicagoland, despite the fact that that was the only track in that area. And so there were a lot of people going there purely because it was the only track near them. And it was really the only place to get that kind of market. And then they replaced it with a street course, which I think has less appeal due to the
nobody asked for it.
Yeah, nobody asked for it. It's a different type of racing. They're going to put mufflers on the cars, which again is probably not a very popular decision. NASCAR, I'm just going to say it died in 2004.
At least Chicagoland has a Supercross race coming there this coming season, so they got some racing going on. But we have some racing coming on right here because we're doubled up, stacked up, coming to 35 laps to go here in the Shark Tank attack. What is it? Shark something 400. Watch that royally, but either way, green flag back in the air. Shark Tank 400. Shark Tank's attack 400.
The Shark Tank
something
attack Cage Shark Week Discovery Channel 300. Look at that, Blake Giglio. He's down on the bottom line for once, and it actually seems to be working out pretty well. Looks like he may be looking to slide into third. He's got his teammate in front of him, but he has got to ease up on that push. Look at that, guys. That was one heck of a shove.
You see right now, Gitter's still in that 21 machine, still in the mix inside the top 5 right now. A few new names up there as well. The 12 machine of Hodson's leading the way here on 166 down in the corner. Number 1, guys. Things are tight up here at the top of the grid. That 07 machine is virtually super glued to the back bumper of that 12.
Yeah, while we were kind of joking on and just talking about whatever it was, 4 guys did stay out. So Hodgson, Hoytsma, Giglio, and Miller all on aged tires of 15 plus laps. So we don't know. We kind of have stopped paying attention to the tire sets. There might be 1 or 2 left on the wall. For some of these guys, they want that extra set and hope the cautions come out. But here they come, almost 4 abreast for the lead off of 4 here. Hoytsma in the middle, Gitter to the inside. And I thought Miller was going to try to go 4 wide to the inside. He thought better of it, but let's see what happens as they fan out into 1.
They're going to be 3 wide, 2 rows deep, almost 3. They might have thought better of 4 wide, but nope, they might do it right here, coming out of turn 2. 4 wide for just a moment, fanning out, trying to find a position on the track desperately to slot into, and they are going to single file out on the high line, but down low you got a few stragglers trying to link up and work together. Dustin Hall, who's had a very fast machine, you know, he's probably got a similar setup to his teammate Adam Benefiel, who led so many laps before that incident. So that number 1, definitely a car to watch. He's up here, he's racing against cars that have older tires. He may be able to get up here and get the lead, but Gitter, another car that's been so good all night long, he's currently in that number 1 position. Nolan Hodgson, who stayed out, he's fallen back to 6th so far. We'll see if he slips down the running order anymore. And you got to look all the way back to 9th and 8th to see Cameron Stone and Kyle Ammon. Those drivers were just battling for the lead before these last set of restarts here, and kind of dropped back through the pit stops and through the restarts. We'll see if they can regain what they lost. This battle for the lead, it is anybody's game at this point. I mean, look at this. We've got 1 through 10 less than a second apart.
Yeah, it was so impressive by Hoytsma on those 18-lap-old tires to still be able to maintain here. He goes all the way to the top of the track, and everybody else goes right to the bottom, and then they meet in the middle, kind of like making a sandwich. You make the jelly on one side, the peanut butter on the other, and then you put it right together on corner exit. The sandwich meets in the middle. That's kind of what happened in here. Or the Fluffernutter, I guess I should say. But Hoytsma starting to drop back very slowly to the 3rd spot now. Under fire from Giglio. They're going to be 3, almost 4 wide behind there as Miller all the way to the top. That's James in the middle, Stone to the bottom. You have, who is that? Heitman back in the mix here. And some door slamming going on. Hard to tell who is who there. I see Dalton Mobley in the red car. Again, it's just a recipe for disaster here. But everyone's going for what they can get in the closing stages.
Coming off of 2 right now, the 21 of Gitter still our race leader. We see this huge pack of cars. This is for a battle for 6th as our top 5 is now separating from the rest of the drivers on the track. All of these drivers here right now as we dig down to 3 and 4 want to keep it clean with 31 laps to go to have your race ended. In these late stages will all but be heartbreak here tonight. As Gitter, we'll make it 171 down to 1.
It's going to be 30 to go. This race is winding down. If it stays green, those 30 laps are going to go by pretty quickly. But I don't know. I don't know if I expected to stay green. We're seeing so much 3 and 4 wide. The gloves have come off at this point, and the patience has just absolutely dissipated. We saw that with Adam Benefiel and Matt Long. Oh, no, another incident further back. Jason Strategy Taylor Beyblading through the infield. No caution.
Yep, he used all that runoff pavement, and Barney does not care about incidents that happen down on the runoff pavement. So maybe we can get a cue up on replay. Or it looks like he went around off the front bumper of White and just did a little loop down there. No harm, no foul. Just a lot of time lost, and we do stay green.
Now, to Jason's credit, that was a supreme recovery he made.
Yeah, as right now, Gitter tail. Oh, big wreck off of 2. Big wreck cars wrecking off of 2 right there. That's at the tail end of this pack. Caution is out. Wreck off of 2.
Looks like Tanner Marty again, the number 2 as well, is tangled up. I don't see anybody else really off pace.
Yeah, looks like he went off. I think Marty went around off the bumper of Miller. Marty, excuse me. But that was already queued. Gunningsman was already sideways. We'll get the video on screen in a moment. But guys, we're kind of at that point now as the replay's on the screen here. We'll kind of get a look at it. You can see all hell just kind of broke loose there off of 2. But we're getting to that point where we had a really clean race with a really good reputation. And the reputation of the race is slowly starting to go from being a really clean race to not such a clean race here with all these rapid fire cautions towards the end.
Now, to the field's credit, they did a great job kind of scrambling around that. I feel like there could have been a whole lot more cars involved than there wound up being. So these guys definitely on the ball. We're right along with number 5 of Robert Anderson. Here's another perspective from just behind Anderson. There was a checkup. Somebody, I think, scraped the wall there. There we go. The blimp cam should give us a better look at it. And keep your eye around the number 15. So the number 15 gets tagged. So Robert Miller gets pushed up to the wall. He's going to bounce off that wall, and that causes huge congestion.
Yep.
And of course, a lot of drivers nowhere to go. A little bit of a domino effect, but overall, again, it could have been so much worse than it was.
And we'll see what happens. We do have, just trying to get a scope of the pit stop situation, because at this point in the race, tires are becoming quite limited. So our top 16 did stay out, so they'll have 10 to 11 lap old tires. First person on brand new tires will, I believe, be Blake Giglio. Actually, yeah, Blake Giglio and company coming to the attention of their crews now. So we'll see how it does shake out, and I think this probably is coming towards the last set, maybe one more for a few of these guys. So definitely you're not going to have the benefit of tires like you had earlier on.
No, definitely not, Corey. And if you look at the scoring right now, guys, it's all green inside the top 10 right now. Alex Van Desant right there in the 10th position, up 14 spots from the drop of the green flag. Raymond R.J. Root in 9th, up 23 spots from the drop of the green flag. You jump for Neil Parsons, who's down 2 spots in 8th. That's all right, though. We'll jump up to 7th. Matt DeCanny up 10 spots from the drop of the green flag. Dalton Mobley up 16 spots. Derek Heitman up 3 spots. Chris James up 16. Kyle Amon up 25. Dustin Hall up 1. And our race leader, Patrick Gitter, up 3 spots. So all these drivers inside the top 10 have been working hard, gaining position, and now with about 25 laps to go, have themselves centered for a race win here tonight.
Yeah, definitely a lot of cars that are still in the game. We've had a few incidents, and the race has gotten a little bit crazy as of the last few laps. But despite that, so many cars still in contention. So many cars that weren't in contention earlier now finding themselves inside the top 10. Look at Matt Dicciani. You've got Alexander Van Desant, Pearson. These are names we haven't really mentioned tonight. Not to say they've been doing poorly, just haven't quite reached into that top 10. And now, through the strategy and through the way the cards have fallen, they're inside the top 10. Dalton Mobley is in 5th, and this isn't the first time he's been in the top 10 tonight. We saw him in the top 10 about 30 laps ago. He was riding around in 7th for quite some time. So we're definitely seeing a running order that you might not expect. I feel like there's a list of drivers that you come to these 2-mile tracks, you know their skill set, you know they're going to do really well, and you kind of expect it. And it's not to say the other drivers are doing anything wrong or that they're bad. No, everybody in this field is here for a reason. I mean, again, they had to qualify their way into this race. It's just that some drivers go above and beyond, but tonight, those drivers who normally go above and beyond have fallen victim to some misfortune, and that's allowing these other drivers to really capitalize and show why they're here. So the green flag is going to fly. It'll be 25 to go here at Auto Club, and it is Gitter leading the way in that number 21 machine. He's been up front so much tonight, looking to close it out with just a little bit of racing left. Kyle Ammon in P2. Dustin Hall is going to take 3rd on this restart. And just fanning out like crazy behind him, you've got Chris James, Derek Heitman, Dalton Mobley, Matt Dicciani, all of these drivers trying to slot into the top line. And we've got an issue in the back. Drivers sliding, scrambling. No caution yet. I believe they got it gathered up, but if they did, that is crazy if they were able to gather that up, because that looked violent.
Yeah, I don't see any. Yeah, we do have a replay that we're queuing up the 41 coming up pretty soon, but yeah, I don't see any issues. Everybody seems to have got it sorted, but we're at that point in the race, guys. We have fresh tires coming through. We have older tires. We have 23 laps to go, and we're at the point you really don't need to save. You can kind of go full bore, as you can see the 41 get loose there on multicam. You don't really need to save. This is basically full send to the end, which basically means that the odds of something else happening are increasingly high.
As we watch a lot of the drivers starting to pull out of line, we're 3 wide, 2 wide, all the way up the grid right now with 24 laps to go. These drivers know how many laps are left. They're ticking it down inside the cockpit of their race cars, just like we're ticking it down here on 3 wide TV. Make it 22 laps to go. As Garrett will take us down to corner number 1.
Our multicam footage on screen right now, live footage to the bottom of the track, and I think we have a split. You can see the fanning going on here on the top of the screen, and I kind of see the 12 machine and Cam Stone. A little bit of a situation there, nearly into the fence, or if he didn't hit it, he missed it by just a whisker to Cam Stone, but everybody continues on just fine towards the front of the pack. As you can see on the bottom of the display right now, Hall just kind of sitting on the back bumper of Gitter. Makes me think that they're almost doing that intentionally, trying to break the draft and give themselves a little bit of a bubble. But Kyle Ammon in third with Derek Heitman. We've seen Kyle Ammon work his way into the top 5. We don't know what kind of actual pace he has. Can he hang on? Is he just there for the shorthand? Does he have something to play with? That we don't know yet. So still learning what happened there. Heitman, we know he's fast. Mobley, haven't seen him too much. He's in 5th, but RJ Root in 6th trying to make something happen as well.
And it's a lot of double file racing, even some 3 wide throughout the field. And going back to Ammon, I think he's at least got some pace on the go to that 25. I mean, if he was that oh my goodness, some near contact there, maybe a little bit of net code. But as I was saying about Ammon, if he was that far off pace, I don't think he'd still be in the 3rd. I think he'd be slipping down the running order. We've seen it earlier in the race with a few other drivers that they were on older tires. The car just wasn't really working too well, and it was not long before they found themselves going in the wrong direction. Ammon is holding on to 3rd place for dear life, doing a good job of it. But look at this 3-wide TV multicam, guys. I mean, how do you even decipher what is going on here? We got 4 wide, multiple rows deep. We've got 3 wide in front and behind. I mean, this is just absolute chaos in racing form. And really the only drivers that are excluded from this chaos are the leaders. They've gotten out of the way. They're comfortable. But this pack right here, that is not comfortable contact. Oh my goodness, I cannot believe they did not wreck right there.
Yeah, I saw that out of the corner of my eye. They seem to be working right towards each other, and somehow it worked out. Maybe it's not.
Oh my goodness, they're not done either.
Nope. Things are getting very, very sketchy right now. We're counting it down. 20 laps to go here on 3 wide TV. Patrick Gitter is our race leader in that 21 machine for the time being, though. A lot of speed behind him. That 1 machine of Dustin Hall. RJ Roots right there as well in the 45 machine, and Kyle Ammon in the 25. Derek Heitman as well. Our top 5 going down to corner number 1. The fireworks still yet to fly here at Auto Club.
Noting that John Delaney in the 6th position. He is the first driver on fresh tires, so go figure. The guy with probably the best position to turn this upside down is our former last season champion, John Delaney. Haven't talked about him going for the lead once today. I don't think he's let a lap. He's been at best a top 5 car, but here he is when it matters, the closer. He's in the best spot to try to take advantage of these older tires up front, but they will not go down lightly. He's underneath Derek Heitman now. That's in the 5th spot, only a half second off your race lead. And then who do we have? RJ Root to the inside of Gitter for 2nd, trying to do Bob's your uncle, go 2 for 1 here. He's going to go 80 feet difference, bottom to top. All the way to the bottom is Root. All the way to the top is Hall. Hall's going to have to run off a 2, heading down the back straightaway. They're going to be door-to-door for the lead. Gitter, I think, is going to try to fill the gap, and nope, he's going to have an ample space for Root to get in.
And going back to John Delaney, you got to really think about the context of where he was last season and where he is this season. So last season, he wins the championship. He's one of the winningest drivers in the league. And all the while he's doing that, he's also focused, dividing his attention between the 100% Cup Series as well as Road to Pro and the Contender Series. So he was not able to practice and get as much seat time for 100% specifically as he would have liked, and he was still absolutely dominant. This season, he's not focused on Road to Pro. He's not focused on Contender. His attention is pretty much solely honed in on 100% Cup Series, and that should, in theory, make him even more of a threat week in and week out, if that's even possible. So we'll see what he can do at the tail end of this race. He is going to get around Heitman for 5th, so that's 1 more position off of the board. He's got to click off. Kyle Ammon in 4th place. Gitter was sitting 3rd right in front of him. Dustin Hall, currently your race leader, on the bottom of your 3x TV multicam. You can see that number 1 has taken that prize first position. But I don't think he's going to be able to keep it easily. Nothing's a given here, because look at these cars behind him, 2 wide, getting a little bit sideways. Huge wreck. Turn 2, it is Nolan Hobson. And he's
Big
gonna
wreck off
go.
of 2.
What was
Big wreck off of 2, guys. Big wreck.
I mean, that was like he was looking for Damaris right there.
Well, yeah, that is just awkward timing there, but that puts us in a very precarious position with where we stand in the race now on our 9th caution. We don't know the tire situation, so it's going to be very interesting to see who's able to stay out, who has an extra set on the wall. Do you want to take it? Is it worth it with probably what'll be 11 laps to go? If you're Dustin Hall, your bet is kind of made. Actually, I don't know. Hall's been out there 23 laps. If you have a set on the wall, do you want to lose the track position and have it? What is everybody else going to do? Is there a right decision right now if you're Dustin Hall?
Yeah, but maybe the decision is made for you. I mean, like you said, we kind of stopped counting. It's almost impossible to track for 40 different drivers how many tires they've taken. But I could easily see with the amount of cautions we've had, guys, I could see a lot of these drivers not having any left. And as Carlos said, a lot of the leaders stayed out. So,
oh my God, sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
No, I'm not. It's not relevant.
No, all right.
I'm watching a basketball game in the background, and someone has hit a 3/4 shot at the end to tie the game. So, anyways, I'm sorry about that.
You're fine. I was gonna say, keep your secrets. Pit stops underway, so a few drivers are seemingly going to have the option of taking tires. Again, I don't know exactly who has what here, but I believe that is Gitter leading them down pit road. So if Gitter has fresh tires here with 14 to go, that could be huge because that car is fast to begin with, let alone when it's got the advantage of fresh tires. There's Blake Giglio as well, amongst just a horde of other vehicles. Man, oh man, what is
That's going to be a really, really tough call for Dustin Hall. This is reminiscent to me between Hammond and Hall. What does it take you back to? It takes you back to Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, front row, Martinsville, Clint Boyer, just absolutely licking the stamp in turn one. That's what that's going to feel like. But we have a three-part scar right here. We have super old tires up front. We have modestly old tires in the middle. And then we have fresh tires back there in 17th. And we have 13 laps to go. But the blessing of Auto Club Speedway, guys, is at most tracks, you can't pass that many cars in 13 laps. But when you have 70 to 80 feet of usable real estate, you could go from 17th to 1st in 10 laps.
We saw Adam Benefiel in stage 1 get inside the top 10 within, I believe it was just 20 or 30 laps, and that was when everybody was on equal footing when it comes to the tire wear. Now, there's some drivers that are going to have much better tires than the cars out front, so take that 20 laps and cut that down significantly because, again, your lap time differences between old tires and fresh tires is in excess of 2 seconds per lap. It is absolutely massive.
Yes, it is. And, well, I know I'm known for doing this on PTR TV, so we'll do it here. Andre, you'll get used to it on Monday nights. Take your pick.
I'm going to have to go with Gitter. I'm going to say that 21 is going to take those fresh tires. He's going to get up front. What about you, Will?
Yeah, looking at the grid right now, I think one driver that's just been quietly strong here tonight and might sneak into victory lane might be Cameron Stone in that 57 machine. Just been bouncing inside and outside the top 10 here tonight. Been very strong lap time wise. Now inside the top 5. Watch out for the 57 to make a move here at the end.
I'm going to go with 2022 champion John Delaney. Even though the super fresh tires are back there, I think that 6 machine's going to find out some way to pull it off here. So no matter how you look at it, nobody has any faith in that front row right now. So RIP to Hall and Hammond, but maybe they can pull the miracle off. But, you know, we'll find out together. It's been a great night of racing here on 3 Wide TV. Probably one of the best races I think we've seen in terms of competition in multi-groove racing. It's going to go down in the 100% record books, but let's make it even better by having a great finish. Let's see if we can pull that off here tonight. Pace car is going to take that hard left into the safety of pit lane, and by safety, I mean that's the safest place you'll be able to be right now with what we're about to see. Entering the Geico restart zone. And there goes Hall on the accelerator. Green flag in the air. Ammon did not get going. Stone is going to go to second there off the get-go, entering 1.
Takes us down into 1 in that one machine with 12 laps to go. Huge separation, though. Andre here, second and third. We're starting to see now starting to pull away from 4th place as everybody is bundled up outside of the top 10. Huge pass coming off of 2 as we have cars sideways. Big wreck on the backstretch.
That is half the field. Dalton Mobley.
Blake Giglio
Blake
on
Giglio.
Hoytsma slow. Tracy, Mobley, Gunnigsman. And this is all ticking off laps, so that will help out those guys on the older tires. We got a replay queued up here. You know, it's just, how do you even assign fault when everyone is 87 wide there off the corner? But if you want to, I guess Giglio may have got loose, Tracy may have washed up, take your pick. But when you're 5 wide in different varying tire situations, that stuff's just going to happen.
Yeah, I think you're hitting the nail on the head there. Giglio did get loose and he came down a little bit, but it's really easy to get loose when you can't run the line that your car is built for. And these guys being 4 or 5 wide, they're locking themselves into these lanes with no margin for error. It's right along with number 5, Robert Anderson. I believe he had a pretty good view of this maybe happening. Nope, wrong car. So let's go on board with the 16. Heavy hits all around.
Randy Drumhiller on the top. There goes Gunnigsman. Remember, he had a good run earlier on. That no longer is the case. And this will be our 10th caution, double digits. So I don't know if we'll hit the 15 that we hit in 2022, Andre, but did hit the double digits mark here this evening.
I didn't think we were going to get this close. You know, when it was 50 to go, we were at 4 cautions, 3 of which were or 2 of which were for stages. So things have accelerated.
So we do have 27 lead changes on the day. So that is and that's just official lead changes. If we had unofficial lead changes, we'd probably be upwards of 100 by now. So we'll end up going green. I think probably, where are we coming off? At turn 2 right now. We'll get the one to go. We will take the green with, 8 laps to go. I don't want to mess up the math because I know Carlos will yell at me. We'll take the green on 193, so that'll be 8 to go. How long before we have another caution? You think we finish this out? You think we're going to go 1 or 2 laps and just kind of chase this into green-white checker territory? How do we think this is going to go, guys?
I think I see this race playing out, although cautions might fly here as we saw that big pack coming off of 2 there onto the backstretch. I feel like if we can get it going for at least a couple laps, we can end this race under green.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think if they could just get it sorted out within the first couple laps, that's the crucial point. I mean, everybody's trying to get sorted out. Everybody's trying to find their lane, and it's going to be the most chaotic within that first lap or 2 of the restart. If they could get settled down, even if we had a single car incident or something like that, we've seen single car incidents be ignored by Barney up in the booth a few times tonight. So I wouldn't rule out getting to the green or getting to the checkered from here, but there's a lot of cars left, and I'm maybe not quite as confident as Will.
Yeah, I think we just have that past experience, Andre, with these 100% races. But as I was kind of alluding to earlier, what becomes the vibe on this race? Because it had the vibe for the first 150 laps for how aggressive it was. It was clean as a whistle. And now we've kind of turned the tides to be a little bit more of a barn burner here and a little bit more of a boxing match. So is this race go down in the record books as still being a clean race, or is it kind of does that kind of normalize out now?
I would say it. We do the poll. After every race was such and such a good race. We do it in the Discord, and
so just turn good to clean. Like, does this go down as being a clean race given the last 50 laps averaged in?
I would say no. Probably not.
It's basically like you were on a diet for 28 days of the month, and then you had like 10 double quarter pounders on the last 2 days. Was it still a good month?
Well, it depends on if you stopped at that Dunkin' Donuts at midnight when you thought about it.
Yeah, those little nuances add up. But Cam Stone on the outside. Dustin Hall will be our leader. He's taking the inside. See how long we can get this one going. Pace cars in. Hall gets the jump. Good run by Am, and he's going to get him out on the whole shot there heading into turn number 1.
Yeah, Hall on the 1 again will take us down in corner number 1 as our race leader here with 8 laps to go. We're green flag racing once again down to 1 and 2.
So just like we saw before, the leaders are able to get sorted out pretty quick, but you look...
Oh, there we go.
Far past them, and it's happening again, the 51.
That's a big one. We got cars all over the inside pavement there, all over the inside runoff pavement down there, trying to make out who some of them are, but it's already, I think that's the 51 of Baker down there.
Yeah, Baker may be the only one that got significant damage. Let's take another look at this. So, throughout TV replay, 51 right in the middle of your screen.
Yep, and that's Dodson to his front, Matt Long to his behind. Oh, he just ran up into Dodson, perhaps, from that angle?
Yeah, maybe just got a little tight there. I mean, and if he's on older tires, if he's not been able to pit, it's really easy to get tight and slide up into somebody.
Goodyear blimp getting its workout here today. Yeah, he just kind of ran. He kind of continued his line as if Dodson wasn't there, and then it looks like Dodson we conned this phrase last week, incidented it out. It looked like Dodson did there.
That could be, again, the incident limit for this week is 13x, just as it was at Daytona, according to the announcements. Now, I thought the incident limit was supposed to be a little higher for these races. In fact, I'm going to hand it over to you guys. I'm going to quickly check with Kevin, because I'm not sure that 13 that was written down is actually accurate.
All right, so Andre heading back down into the admin trailer and trying to figure out those details. But we saw it last week where at least 10 guys got caught out on the incident count. And you saw there, once the contact was made with Dodson about 3 to 4 seconds later, he disappeared into 100% oblivion, which was him getting removed via hitting the incident gap. And Andre, a very quick trip to the pit box there.
Yeah, they installed this slip and slide all the way down to the pit road from the booth. It really makes things quicker. But yeah, so it is 13x. I thought, because I swear I remember last it was only the plate tracks that were 13x, but no, it is 13x today. So that is probably why we saw somebody get, as you said, incidented out.
Yeah, if there's a better way to say that, I don't know. But let's go back to our little take your pick segment. My pick is still in good shape, but the two we completely ignored, being our top two, are still there, and we're going to be coming down to less than 5 fingers worth of laps left in this race, probably 3 to 4 when we go back racing. Of course, we do have green-white checkers available, but this is almost 3 heat cycles of tires. So a John Delaney, a Sean O'Brien Jr., that second tier of tires per se, at this point I almost think they're pretty much equalized out to what Hall and Ammon have.
They might be equalized out, and also, I mean, the amount of laps that these guys further back who do have fresher tires have to actually use those tires, well, that's depleting. Every single caution is just running out the clock and giving them less and less time to actually use those tires. So drivers like Gitter, who did take tires just not long ago, well, he's in 14th, and he's only going to have, by the time we go green, 4 laps to get from 14th to 1st, and that is, even with fresher tires, quite a tall order. So I think you're right, Corey. I think we may have overlooked some of these drivers a little further ahead.
I mean, at least I still have a possibility, a strong possibility to be right. I don't remember what your guys' guesses were, but I just know that my 100% fantasy pick is still in a good position right now, so go me. Speaking of which, I have to just remind myself, I should set my NASCAR fantasy lineup for tomorrow, because that's my biggest faux pas of doing fantasy teams, is I play for 2 weeks and I forget, so I should probably actually do that. So
Hey, me too.
why aren't we on the same team?
Because we forget.
Yes, precisely. think just looking at these cars, guys, the amount of rubber buildup on these cars seems like 100% more than any place else. So either that just shows how dirty and wore out this track is, or it just shows how through the ringer a lot of these guys have been tonight.
Yeah, just looking at the track info myself here, another thing I'm noticing is we've gone down about 13 degrees on the track temp. It was 86 at the beginning of the night. The sun has kind of progressed downward on its track, and now it is 73 degrees on the track surface, so a little bit cooler than it was, which is also something that kind of lends a hand to these drivers on older tires, because the track itself has a little bit more grip that can compensate for what you lose through these heat cycles. But the green flag flies. Dustin Hall again out and away. It is 4 to go here at Auto Club. He is trying to do his best to fend off these cars behind, but Jonathan Delaney with a great restart goes from 4th to 2nd. Only one more car in his sights.
We only have, what are we on, 4 laps to go, so 10 lap fresher tires for Delaney, 4 laps to go.
Big wreck on
and
2.
Another wreck. That's going to put us in overtime. Let's try to figure out what we got going on. Big green car. I think that is Mouche with a beeline to the inside. And can't quite make out much else off that, but I'm sure we'll get it queued up very shortly. Actually, I'm kind of looking here, and Carlos looks like he already has it queued up for us. Randy Drumhiller of note in this. In the Coleman ride, he looks like coming off of 2. That was a bump from Hoytsma. And yeah, so he came up into Mouche there, and they just kind of pinballing off each other, and Tracy got some residual contact out of that as well. And this will send us into overtime, guys.
Oh, Patrick is really just going for a gap that, I mean, the gap existed. I think he just miscalculated where the gap was.
And that has been the cost of about 5 cautions tonight.
It has. That is the running theme.
Space be there, space not be if there. That's my Shakespeare.
Very poetic here tonight.
Space beeth, space no beeth. Nope. All right, we're done.
As a wise man once said, if gap, car.
And I think we have a GIF meme, new fancy kid terminology image that Carlos put on the screen for that last week. Perhaps I will populate your displays as well. But 2 to go. Ammon. Now, I think right now Hall and Ammon, they really should coordinate this to their own benefit right now, because they are on the super old tires right here, and the best thing that could happen to them is they shoot ahead of Delaney and company and try to stall as long as they can. I think that's the best bet, at least if Hall is going to win this race. But as we know, Delaney is going to start on the outside now, guys, and it's really hard to get a good restart on the outside anywhere. So I think Delaney's really going to have to be on his game, and hope that 5 car can give him a good push. And there is the image. If gap, car. If no gap, car. I think we've seen that as well tonight.
Michelle Shoemaker, classic.
Now,
Has anybody heard from?
What were you saying there, Will?
No, I was going to say, as we're watching down right now, the caution lights are still on the base car here. We're watching along with us here on 3 Wide TV. I guess some of the fans in the chat are saying that Delaney has fresher tires than both Hall and Ammon at the top of the grid.
That he does. They are slightly fresher, and I think that's how he got from 4th to 2nd, and just that one short half a lap that we got before we went right back to caution. So he's definitely got the car, and he can maybe get around Dustin Hall. But, you know, I am just... The way this race has gone, I can't count anything out. If Dustin Hall and Delaney were to get together, I would not be at all surprised. If Delaney ran away with it, I wouldn't be surprised. It's been such a lottery so far with these last 50 laps. It's hard to predict anything.
Yep, and we do have 2 more attempts in the bank if we do need to withdraw them. attempt to finish this race under green. So, you know, it is the last official Auto Club race at the 2-miler, and we are just extending this to the last possible drop, to getting as much 2-mile Auto Club as we can here, as we head into Shark Attack 400 and whatever the math ends up being, 406, 408 potentially.
So the lights are off on the pace car. We're going to be back to racing with a green-white checkered. And, well, hopefully we can make it to the white. I don't know. It's been pretty chaotic, and there's a lot of drivers that I'm sure are getting a little bit tired of pacing, and a few drivers who are definitely benefiting from everything that happened. Look at Sean O'Brien Jr. We haven't really talked about him at all tonight, but through everything that's happened, he has just slowly sniped away a few positions here and there every single caution. Now he's up into 7th. Matt Long, involved in that incident earlier, guys. Look at that. He's in 6th, so he is in row 3, not far from the lead. Can't count him out either. The green
Early on
flag
the gas.
is going to fly, and you're right, Corey. That was a huge jump there, very early on the gas.
I swear to God they listened to me, because they both timed it to go very early, give themselves a gap on those older tires. Heard a gasp, but don't know if something happened in the back, but thus far, Paul and Ammon on those older tires hanging there 1-2. Delaney's going to have to figure something out. Not going to have a lot of time to do it. Can we get to the white? Because when the white flag comes out, Barney throws away the yellow, and we will finish under checkers.
Yeah, right now Delaney under fire from Anderson in that 5. This is a battle for a 3rd for a podium finish right now. Hall's taking us off of corner number 4 as our race leader. Hall in that 1 will officially make this race official. Get that white flag, 1 to go as we head down to corner number 1.
And the number 1 car trying to fend off Kyle Ammon in the 25, Jonathan Delaney in the number 6. Now remember, John's got fresher tires. He's going to rocket around the 25 on the high line, but he's in the wall, losing momentum. That checks up everybody behind him.
Root out on incidents.
So Root is DQ'd. That leaves the number 1 to get through 3 and 4. He's got 2 car lengths. Can anybody make a run through the final corner? No, they are not close enough, even with fresher tires. It is going to be Dustin Hall in a number 1 car with this Shark Attack 400 at Auto Club. Chaos behind.
Yeah, our running order just changed drastically from turn 4 to the start-finish line, and that is something that we will have to queue up on replay, because not quite explainable, but what is explainable is Dustin Hall, we all wrote him off on the old tires, manages to pull it off, and somehow Robert Anderson pulled off a second as we lost Delaney between the middle of 3 and 4 and about the entry to the pits. We lost Delaney and a few others, but we didn't lose Dustin Hall, so full congratulations to him. Against all odds, all guesses, pulls it off and wins round number 2 here at the Auto Club Speedway.
Yeah, we lost Root. We also lost Ammon. Ammon got incidented out as well.
We lost Delaney, we lost Ammon, and we lost Root at the very least, just on the white flag lap.
Not just the white flag lap. We lost them on the front straightaway coming to the checker.
Yeah, I thought that, I mean, on my local screen that I'm watching, I literally thought that my computer was having a seizure, but it was just everybody getting kicked out at the identical time, getting incidented out.
Yeah, I thought the same. That is something. But Dustin Hall going to do the Polish victory lap in that Mardon PC. Jimmy Strong, number 1. Classy celebration here. I'm sure he is excited to get this win. It was a great strategy, and it's been a little while since the one's been to victory lane, so I'm sure he is going to savor this one.
Yeah. Our race results on screen right now. Dustin Hall as he's celebrating with the victory. Robert Anderson with a second. Gitter, a fabulous run. He was up front all race. He gets the 3rd. Schofield gets a good run in 4th. Sean O'Brien, back-to-back top 5s to start the season in 5th. Matt White, last week's winner, gets a 6th. Cam Stone, Jason Taylor, Joe Stafford, and Kevin Steele round out our top 10 tonight.
And just outside our top 10, Damaris Hickenbottom in the 00, an up-and-down roller coaster of a night. He finished stage 1 just a few thousandths of a second from going a lap down. And from there, he brings it back to P11. Neil Pearson in 12th place. Lucas Hoitzma, after getting involved in a couple of scuffles at the end there, he's 13th. Chris James, P14. John Broussard is going to be 15th. Jason Baker also involved. Although if I say everybody involved in an incident, we're going to be here all night because pretty much everybody in this top 20 was. Jason Baker brings it home 16th. Alex Van de Sant, P17. Matt Dicciani, P18. And then to round out our top 20, 19 and 20 are going to go to, well, I don't know because it scrolled past him a little bit there. Milton Mobley and Nolan Hobson.
Rob Tracy, 21st. Pat Mouche had a bunch of incidents, 22nd. Drumhill, 23rd, excuse me. Derek Heitman, Kyle Ammon, one of the ones we lost in the last lap. Delaney we lost. Root we lost. Long, we probably lost him as well. Round in 28th, 29th. Miller, Damien Asrenza in 30th, and quickly rounding out the rest of the grid. Gunnigsbeck 31st. Princeton 32nd. Blake Giglio 33rd. Carl Dotson 34th. Brandon Pierce, 35th. Tanner Marty, 36th. Andrew Dyson, 37th. And Adam Benefiel, you didn't win the race. You finished dead last.
I do believe there's 2 cars behind him, but close enough.
It was more drama if we said that, but you didn't finish dead last. You finished dead last. All right. Murray and Medeiros do kill that drama line, but you almost finished last, even though you were going to win the race. But I think Hall is heading down to victory lane, and I think these guys are queued up in their press room, and we should be able to start our post-race interviews.
That we can. I'm going to go ahead and bring up Patrick Gitter. He's with Will Tiller.
Yeah, speaking with Patrick Gitter in that 21 machine. Patrick, one heck of a race here tonight at Auto Club. Break it down for us here up at 3 wide.
Yeah, man, it was a challenging race. I mean, here at Auto Club, 2-mile track, you got a combination of tire wear management, pack drafting, some pit strategy. I mean, it's just really kind of rolling the dice, hoping your strategy pays off. And I know that last restart, well, 15 to go, I guess, we went in and took tires, and it was just roll the dice, man. We were hoping it'd go green, and we had more cautions than we thought, so it was just a little harder to get back to the field than we had hoped for.
Yeah, we always saw you up in the mix in that 21 machine inside the top 5, top 10 here tonight. What do you think was the hardest aspect about tonight's race? We know we were talking about certain corners here on the broadcast. From a driver's point of view, what made this race so difficult?
I think part of it was just knowing when to push and when not to. I mean, it's so important to hold the draft if you're up front, and track position is huge. So I think a lot of it is just knowing, when to push the car in the draft versus, how much tire you want to save early in the run. And it's so much easier to pass early in the run. So those first 5 laps are pretty critical, and how much tire you save versus how much track position you want to save.
Yeah, and those cautions in tonight's event, Patrick, essentially, brought you up into that 3rd place position. You're going to finish here tonight. Were those cautions at the end getting frustrating, or did you look at it as another opportunity to advance position?
The first one was frustrating. I was really hoping that it was going to go green the whole way. I mean, I think we would have had a shot up there up front if it stayed green the whole way. And then once after the first caution came out, I was like, all right, we need a few more to make this work, or we need a few green-white checkers to make this thing work. And the plan was just to rip the top on the restarts, had fresh tires, knew it would hold, and just to see what happens. So, but couldn't have done it without the guys at Elite EPI this week, man. Those guys really gave us a heck of a set. Dustin Hall, Michael Conti, the house drivers. I know Matt DiCiani and Derek Heitman put a lot of work into it this week, just going above and beyond, making tweaks to it even, just to further it for us. So I just appreciate those guys and what they did for us this week.
Patrick, you come home 3rd here tonight. I think you just got to jump on me with those shout-outs. Anybody else you want to shout out here tonight before we let you go?
Man, I'll give a shout-out just to, C12 Design Shop. They got this paint for me tonight. Did a heck of a job on it. Mart PC, Chevrolet. Just a heck of a job by those groups tonight.
All right, my man. Patrick Gitter in that 21 machine coming home 3rd here tonight in the Shark Attack 400. We appreciate it, Patrick. Have a great night.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for the broadcast.
Patrick Gitter out of the booth, and now I believe Corey's caught up with 2nd place Robert Anderson.
All right. Bobby, we talked to you yesterday, had a great run. You had a great run here today, and I know you led some laps. You were in the top 5 and, up and down as everybody was over the course of the evening. And somehow the C's just disappeared for you on the last lap. And I think that put you in the second spot. So all in all, just kind of talk about that green-white checkered and what you saw and just kind of sum up your night.
Yeah, the green-white checkered, I know Kyle had some old tires there, so I thought I could get around him, and then like you said, I just look up at the start-finish line and 2 cars disappear and lucked my way into second place. But I mean, overall, that stage 3, I think the C's parted for me maybe 4 or 5 times. I think I've used up all my lives here in this race. I feel like I should have died at least 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, compared to what we saw last night, I know last night we did see similar racing, 2-3 wide, but there was just something different about today where it seemed like every groove was more competitive. We saw 4-5 wide. Did you notice a tangible difference between what we saw last night in Division 2 versus what we saw tonight?
Yeah, I think the intensity was just ratcheted up a big notch for sure. Like you said, you had guys 3 wide, and for the most part, everybody was pretty respectful about it. I didn't see any crazy racing too much from my aspect, but yeah, it was fun, guys.
Yeah, and that's all that matters, man. You get yourself another good run. We head into Vegas next week, another intermediate track, so we'll see what you can accomplish in Sin City. But who do you want to give a shout out to for your second place finish this evening?
Yeah, just shout out to my teammates again. Ran the same set that I did last night. So Taylor Stout, thanks for helping build this set this week. And yeah, we'll got another exciting track next week that I think we're all very confident in.
All right, congrats again, man. We'll talk to you soon, I'm sure.
Thanks, guys.
And now Andre has headed to Victory Circle and caught up with the number 1 machine of Dustin Hall.
Your bumper on exit.
Mr. Hall, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, bud. How are you?
Caught you off guard there. Well, Dustin, first of all, congratulations. That was a very well-earned win. When we saw you stay out on those older tires, we were just kind of going through all the hypotheticals that would have had to happen for somebody on tires that old to stave off the competition, to get that win. And you did it, man. I mean, you held them off. You played it to perfection, and you got the checkered flag. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it. Hypotheticals, man. I think that was the one out of a million scenarios that was going to work out for us. But it's Auto Club, and it's got a history of doing that. The track is so wide, and with the laps running down, I knew people would really start sticking it in holes where they wouldn't have earlier in the race, and and people wouldn't be as willing to concede those spots. So I figured that we'd have a wreck fest. I hoped. I mean, I say that, but I'll be honest with you. When Kyle and I were the only 2 that stayed out, I was on the radio. What are we doing? What have we done? We screwed this race. But it worked out. Auto Club played to Auto Club trends. Larry Mack would be proud.
That it did. Now, even though the cautions did lend a helping hand, you still had to drive that thing to the start-finish line, and you had a bit of a disadvantage on the restart there with your tires being older. It's easier to spin the tires, and of course, through 1 and 2, it's not really going to be handling all that well. And you've got John Delaney behind you, who's got fresher tires. You've got Robert Anderson, who's got fresher tires, and then you've got your teammate, who you mentioned, Kyle Ammon. What did it take to get the good restart that you got and to keep those guys behind you?
Basically, I mean, we just had to get a good coordinated restart, be on the same page, and really get a good jump. I needed Kyle to be at least door to door with whoever was to my outside on those restarts. But if you could clear him, even better. And that's how it worked out. Kyle got a great jump, gave me a great push, got me through the gears, and we were able to space them. And again, they did just like I said they would, and got side by side racing hard. There were some coming through on even fresher tires. They were going to fill holes that the guys right behind us were going to be trying to fill. So I knew that it would be 10 cars trying to fit in a 2-car spot or whatever, and I was just hoping to get to the white flag there, to be honest with you.
Yeah, definitely making the race official was probably paramount after all the yellows you guys had there. But with that last corner, pandemonium happened behind you. We had no less than 3 drivers get DQ'd for the incident limit at the start-finish line, more or less. All happening right behind you. Were you looking in your mirror when that was going down, or were you just
yeah.
white knuckling
Oh
the
yeah.
steering wheel and looking forward?
Nah, I was looking backward. I noticed they were all turning off like somebody was hitting light switches on each power to each car, and I was worried a server was going down or something like that.
That's
for a
what we
second.
thought. We legitimately thought, oh man, it's lagging out.
And then I realized, oh wait, no, those guys are getting DQ'd, which is kind of funny because I think we're the only one. Somebody told me we're the only one in this race with 0x in this race, which is, I don't know that I've ever done that in 100 Cup, to be honest with you.
Well, I'll tell you what, this win definitely makes things easier, at least for a little while. You're locked into the playoffs now. Does that mean that you can kind of approach the next few races with a bit of an experimental mindset? You know, just test out some setups, try to figure some things out, and maybe take some risks you otherwise wouldn't?
You know, we're always in an experimental phase, really. We're always trying different things, and this is a great training grounds for those things that we're testing out. But to answer your question, yes, it feels great to be locked into the playoffs. But even more so, it feels great to be locked into a Tier 1 charter.
Yes.
As long as I don't completely screw off and miss races.
That won't happen, though.
So that is we'll be here. But that's probably the biggest thing. I mean, I was working with my EPI guys. You know, I own Team EPI in the league, and we've got 3 of those 4 with Tier 2 charters. So they've all got to make it in on time, and I mean, we worked really hard to get the queue speed up, and they nailed their laps. Everybody got into the race tonight, so that was a huge help to have teammates out there, and big shout out to them for their accomplishments tonight.
And continuing in line with the shout-outs, is there anybody that you'd like to thank for the win here tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, the guys over at Team Conti for letting us get over here and dabble into some fun league stuff. Take a break from the busy. Friends and family who tune in and watch back home. Race Brazil and Lucas Abreu, they helped out with this setup. In fact, they did quite a bit on it, and I'm really proud of those guys and the progress they're making, and appreciate them. Yeah, definitely for helping us out this week. Just getting a little faster. You guys for broadcasting, Damaris and Kevin, league, and everybody who participates. I mean, there was a lot of give and take tonight. There was a lot of aggression, but it was all with enough space to deal with it, and best league hands down to race with. So thanks to those guys.
All right. Well, again, congratulations on the win.
Andre, before you boot me, one more thing. Of course, I got to thank Martin PC and mention, that we lost my nephew 4 months ago, and I'd be remiss to say, or to neglect to say that he rides with me and in my heart, and I miss you, buddy. Always Jimmy Strong, and that's gonna be my approach throughout these 100% league races and everything I do, buddy. I miss you.
I think I speak for everybody when I say we think of Jimmy every time we see the number 1 or the number 83 on track, and he definitely is on the minds of everybody in the league, and he was a big inspiration to a lot of people, and he meant a lot to a lot of people, and it obviously breaks my heart with everything that you and your family have had to go through, but man, I know he's looking down on you, and he's probably just ecstatic that you got that win, and I'm happy for you too, man.
That or he's up there playing Minecraft, and he's still waiting for somebody to call him and tell him I won.
Maybe that too.
Yeah. Thanks,
right,
thanks, Andre.
Thank you. All right, race winner Dustin Hall out of the booth. That is going to do it for our post-race interviews, and pretty much going to do it for Auto Club. Maybe forever. We don't know. The situation with Auto Club is a little bit precarious, but Corey, Will, any post-race thoughts?
Yeah, great. Overall, great night of racing. I mean, ended in a little bit of calamity, but overall 3, 4, 5 wide racing for the better part of 3.5 hours. Hard to say that was a boring one to watch, because it wasn't. That was a great night of racing, and looking forward to next week at Las Vegas.
Yeah, I second Corey there. Very mixed bag of racing here tonight. We've had numerous lead changes. There was 3, 4 wide leaders that we saw in the beginning of the race, even 50% halfway through the race. Nowhere to be seen at the end of the race. The likes of Adam Benefield and Matt Long. Both drivers not finishing the way they want to. Even at the finish line, we had drivers literally disappear from the race. Couldn't ask for more for my first race with you guys here, the 100% Cup Series.
I'd have to agree 100%. That is going to do it for us here on 3 Wide TV. I've been Andre Graham Bush, joined alongside Corey Silva with PTR TV, Will Tiller, and of course, Carlos Acosta, pushing the buttons, bringing all the action to your TVs and computers. We'll see you next time in Sin City.